We've just got time then. Dom has come back into the studio for some results of the day from Divisions 1 and 2 in the Northern League. We'll start in Division 1.
A couple of interesting. Whitley Bay winning 1-0 over Heaton Stallington. I wouldn't like to see the state of the pitch after today's game as well.
Given how
bad it looked
difficult it looked before the game, yeah.
But the game of the day in Division 1 has to go to West Allotment Celtic. A 3-1 win away to Burley Town. Burley Town, of course, 4th in the league. West Allotment Celtic down in 15th. So a good result for them away from home. In Division 2, a couple of results. Belton Terriers winning 1-0 away to Prudhoe. A good result for them. But it has to go to Blythe Town, who are just continue to win games at the top of the league. 1-0 at home to Easington Colliery. So it has to go to Blythe Town again.
Yes, and helped, Paul, because it's going to be a battle right to the wire, I suspect, at the top of Northern League Division 2. Blythe helped by Blue Star dropping points of Houghton to Esh winning, and it's going to be so tight that the 2-point gap from today might count come the end of the season.
It's going to go right to the wire, and it's exciting, and it's good for non-league football in the North East, and two teams like Blue Star and Blythe Town are really going for it.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Dom. I'm going to give the very quickest of shout outs to Yarman Eagles Cliff, and I know it's a daft thing to do because they're not one of our teams, but they drew 2-2 at Billingham Synthonia last night, and they played without a recognised goalkeeper because their only goalkeeper in the matchday squad was injured in the warm-up. They played with an outfield player in goals for 90 minutes and drew 2-2 at Billingham Synthonia, which is not a bad result at all. So well done to everybody there. Thank you to Dom. Thank you to Paul. We will be back with our local football roundup at 5:45 next weekend, even though Sunderland play on the Sunday. It's Newcastle's turn to play at 3 o'clock next Saturday afternoon against Luton in the Premier League. But of much more importance today is the FA Cup game at Fulham. It is a 7 o'clock kick-off. The build-up with Matthew Raisbeck and Steve Howie begins right now.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Now, over the last few days, you might have seen a video doing the rounds of a raccoon taken in Pennywell. Well, the man who filmed that video is Wesley, and he joins me on the phone.
It ran out in front of the road. I was thinking a badger at first, but I see its tail in there. My son says that's a raccoon.
Now, there is a warning not to go near them because I think they're either proper hard or incredibly stupid, because they are the only living thing that has ever dared to wander around Sunderland in black and white stripes. So
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Back Monday morning
from 6.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Joelinton away down the left, Isak in the middle. Joelinton looks for Isak.
Yes!
It might be an own goal. It's into the back of the net, and the Derby deadlock is broken by Newcastle United. Joelinton combined with Bruno down the left wing, put the cross into the 6-yard box, looked for Isak. It ended up in the net, and 6,000 black and whites go wild. 35 minutes. It's Sunderland 0, Newcastle United 1. And Almiron's pinched it, edge of the area, played it back to Isak, who's put it into the net. And Newcastle at the start of the second half have doubled their advantage after a Sunderland mistake trying to play it out short from the back. Almiron pinched it, played it to Isak, who finished. It could be a crucial goal in the derby. It's come 30 seconds into the second half. It's Sunderland 0, Newcastle United 2. Anthony Gordon left side into the penalty area. Almiron with him. Gordon down in the box. Penalty to Newcastle United. Gordon fouled by Ballard, who gets a yellow card. It's a penalty and a chance to wrap it all up.
Summed his afternoon up, scored an OG, he's given the penalty away.
Isak with the away fans behind the goal against Anthony Patterson from the penalty spot into the bottom corner and scores and finishes with such ease and composure. They are going through to the 4th round of the FA Cup. They are going to win a first derby since August 2011. No doubt about it. Isak from the penalty spot. Sunderland 0, Newcastle United 3. Derby delight at the Stadium of Light, and Eddie Howe's first FA Cup win as Newcastle manager. A competition that's both their last shot at winning a trophy this season and another route back into Europe. That's why it means so much.
It's huge for us. We're well aware of that. I think with the Champions League and the Carabao Cup, those situations, and very quickly our minds then focused to the FA Cup, which it had to, and the Sunderland game was a big moment for us. What we don't want to do is waste all that work getting through that round, and that was difficult. Now we enter this game, and we want to continue that run going, so we're determined to do well. We know it's a difficult game, but I believe in the team.
Eddie Howe has made one change to his 11 tonight from the team that played against Manchester City a fortnight ago in Newcastle's last fixture. He has lost Miguel Almiron to illness, and there's also no Jamal Lascelles in the squad tonight either. We believe Lascelles has a knock, so a couple of changes to the squad, but with Almiron not playing, Newcastle welcome back Jacob Murphy into the starting 11 after almost 3 months out with a dislocated shoulder. The team is Dubravka in goal, Trippier, who'll captain the side, Cher, Botman and Byrne at the back. A midfield three, his only 3 fit central midfielders of Miley, Bruno and Longstaff. Murphy on the right hand side, Gordon on the left, Isak through the middle. There is also a place in the matchday squad for the 18-year-old Norwegian midfielder Travis Hearns, who joined Newcastle's academy in the summer from League One side Shrewsbury. He is named on the bench for the first time alongside Karius, Dummett, Ritchie, Kraft, Hall, Livramento, Alex Murphy and young striker Ben Parkinson. That is how Newcastle United look tonight in what is their first FA Cup 4th round tie for 4 years. It was 2020 when they played Oxford at this stage under the management of Steve Bruce, and they required a replay on that occasion to get through and reach the 5th round, the only time they've gone past this stage since 2006. Tonight, an all-Premier League match and a trip to Fulham, where they've had a good recent record, and they're also playing a team that they got the better of in the Premier League just before Christmas. That was their last league victory. We are joined tonight on BBC Radio Newcastle, we're really pleased to say, filling in for John Anderson for this one by the former Newcastle and England defender Steve Howie. Steve, nice to see you.
Lovely to be here. It's a lovely night. It's got a little bit of a frost about it, but it's a great night to play football. Looking forward to this. Pitch looks amazing. And
Craven Cottage has changed in recent times. Fulham have opened a new stand on the far side. We're in the old stand.
Yeah, it hasn't changed where we are.
But it looks really good. We've got a great view.
Yeah, it's a lovely stand.
Of a beautiful stand with padded seats and hospitality areas. That's where the 2 benches are. The far side is where the television cameras are, so we have the opposite view. And we've also got some pillars holding the roof up as well, which do obscure your view of the action, but hopefully they won't get in the way too much. Newcastle's team tonight, with no Almiron, also no Lascelles in the squad. 2 players who've been linked with moves away, but we are reassured their absences are nothing to do with that. Jacob Murphy is back, and having not played for a while, he's straight in from the start, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, delighted for the young man to be back. I mean, obviously he had that injury. He came back a little bit too early, did it again. Obviously he had surgery for it. Let's just hope this is the start of many games to come. But, you know, he is a player that the team have missed, and certainly, you know, either starting or coming off the bench. So I'm really pleased for the lad. But I agree with you. I think, you know, yes, he's had a couple of weeks training, but normally managers and players, they like to sort of just ease in 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. But the manager must have thought he's ready. He's obviously spoke to the player. He feels as though he's ready. So let's hope he is ready.
It's a timely return to action, though, isn't it, with Almiron unavailable tonight. We don't know whether he's going to be back with Newcastle for Aston Villa away on Tuesday. A like-for-like change. Had they not had Murphy, you might have expected Lewis Hall or Matt Ritchie to start, Anthony Gordon to switch to the other side potentially, and then they really would have been looking to more academy players to fill the bench. So it's great to have Murphy back, although they need a few more to follow and return to action with Wilson, Barnes and Willock not too far away, but not ready just yet, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the last 3 players that you mentioned there, you know, players that would possibly start. I think the other option the manager might have had was possibly Livramento could have pushed a little bit further forward. We've seen him, he loves to get in those areas anyway, so that would have been a possible option for the manager. But yeah, I mean, listen, if the manager says that it's illness and a knock for Almiron and Lascelles, then we'll believe that. I have to be honest, and the cynical side of me doesn't think that's the case, but we'll wait and see.
So Newcastle with the one change from the Manchester City match, Jacob Murphy in for Miguel Almiron. Tino Livramento, who Steve just mentioned, was ill a couple of weeks ago, but he's back in the squad as a substitute tonight. The FA Cup is a competition. I mentioned a few statistics a moment or two ago, Steve, about their recent record. I say recent, talking almost 20 years where Newcastle haven't really had it particularly good in the FA Cup. But this season, as we're hearing from Eddie Howe not so long ago, it matters a heck of a lot, and there's an argument that it matters even more given where they've fallen to in the Premier League table. And I think most of us would say that we understand why that is the case with the injury list and the pressure on the squad and the fixture congestion, but also they're out of Europe and they're out of the League Cup as well. So the FA Cup is kind of the last remaining opportunity in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want the season to kind of peter out in a way as Premier League. As you've said there, the other cup competitions, the team's out. So this is a perfect opportunity that the team can fully focus on. And I think, to be fair to the manager, he's picked pretty much the strongest team he could pick. I think if you look at Willock coming in, Murphy coming in, I think that for me it's a little surprise, because I would have expected him maybe to come on the last half an hour or so, see how the game goes. But at the same time, it's a strong team. I look at Fulham's team, and the team that obviously they played against Liverpool. You look at Willian's on the bench, Paulina's on the bench, Raul Jimenez is on the bench, and these are three players again that are focal points for Fulham. So, De Silva's obviously looking at that, and he must be thinking, well, I think we've got enough to beat them. But I think with Newcastle's team, looking at it, I think it's a strong team that could come here and get a very positive result.
And it would be brilliant to continue a run in the FA Cup, because the way they went out of the Champions League, out of Europe, and also the League Cup was painful, wasn't it? In each case, the penalties at Chelsea and the late defeat by AC Milan at home, which ended their involvement in Europe this season. There are some big clubs, top teams in the Premier League, who are no longer in the FA Cup. One of Chelsea or Aston Villa will go out as well. So Newcastle's chances of going deep into the FA Cup would probably be better than maybe they otherwise could be. You've also got non-league Maidstone in the next round as a possibility for any of the other teams who get through, and it could really set up the second part of the season, couldn't it?
Football for me is all about fine lines, fine margins. If you look at the two competitions that Newcastle have found themselves out of, you look at, first of all, the Champions League, that decision against Paris Saint-Germain was really a shocking decision, and that was right at the death as well. It denied Newcastle a much deserved win. Yes, they had chances in that game, but ultimately you've got to put them away, but they didn't. And then you look at the Chelsea one, basically a minute away again from winning that. Maybe it's a little bit lapse in concentration from Trippier, capitalise on that, and then win on penalties. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a big game, as you said. You get through this, you're into the fifth round, and now all of a sudden you're looking at it and thinking, I tell you what, we've got half a chance here, because you look at the other teams, and you look at, for me, I look at Newcastle and the way that they played, certainly in the first half against Manchester City. Teams can't handle that. I mean, you have to do it for 90 minutes, which is difficult, and of course they're playing against, for me, the best team in the world. But I thought Newcastle on that first half completely and utterly put Manchester City to the sword. If they have anything like that, they'll win games. And I look at Fulham's team. I think whilst it's not a weakened team, I think the manager Silva obviously thinks that it's good enough to beat Newcastle. Me personally, I think he might have I'm just thinking, as he kind of looked at this and thought, I think we can beat them with this team. I would like to think that the Newcastle players look at that and go, oh, okay then, let's bring it on, and basically take them to the sword tonight.
Yeah, as you say, Newcastle can't really be, with the players available, much stronger than they are. Fulham have got some of their big boys on the bench, the likes of Willian, Raul Jimenez, who was sent off at St James's Park in the Premier League last month, and João Palhinha, the much admired central midfielder who is regularly linked with a move away from West London. Their team is Marek Rodak in goal. He is usually their second choice keeper, but comes in tonight as a Slovakian international, so knows Martin Dubravka well. Then right back it's Kenny Tete with Issa Diop and the club captain Tim Ream playing at centre back. It's Ream's first appearance in almost 2 months, and Anthony Robinson, the American international, plays at left back in the Fulham defence. Then the two players in central midfield, Sasha Lukic, and Lukic will be alongside Harrison Reed, with then Bobby De Cordova-Reid, Andreas Pereira and Harry Wilson, who plays international football for Wales, the left-sided player. Eddie Howe had him at Bournemouth on loan during his final season as Bournemouth manager a few years ago. And then up front, Rodrigo Muniz, the young Brazilian striker, 21 years of age. He's got 1 goal this season. You may remember he had a spell on loan with Middlesbrough in the Championship last year. But the Fulham bench, Stephen Bender, the third choice goalkeeper, is on there. Tosin Adarabioyo, Raul Jimenez, Tom Kearney, Willian, Timothy Castagna, João Palhinha, Carlos Vinicius and Tyrese Francois. So I think I agree with you, Steve, the way that Fulham have changed the team. They're certainly using the squad, giving players who perhaps don't start every week an opportunity to play. There's still some good players in there, but there are some very good players for Marco Silva tonight in reserve on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got them on the bench, but, you know, it could be a case of if Newcastle start brightly, he's thinking, oh, I'll tell you what, might have to put these boys on quicker than I thought. But by that time, the game could be gone. I'm surprised at his team selection, I have to be brutally honest. I mean, I just thought, especially going out against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup, to miss out on the final of that, I just thought he'd be thinking, I tell you what, we do not want to go out to 2 competitions in 1 week. And yet he's picked this team, so he's either very clever, very astute, or something else.
We'll see. We'll find out. We're live on BBC Radio Newcastle from Craven Cottage. The lights are on, and the 2 sets of goalkeepers and the goalkeeping coaches from Newcastle and Fulham are the only people out on the field at the moment. We are awaiting the outfield players and the 2 sets of substitutes. Newcastle are going to be backed by 3,800 supporters tonight, as usual in the stand behind the goal to the left. As we look, it's a brilliant away following. They will always take supporters in large numbers wherever they are, and tonight, Steve, with massive inconvenience for those who are heading back to the northeast, those who aren't London based, because there are no trains to get them back to Newcastle, back up north really. After the game, the last one leaves King's Cross in the centre of London at 9 o'clock, which will be just a few minutes after the final whistle. There was no tea time match today. I don't see any reason why this fixture couldn't have been played earlier. The Newcastle United Supporters Trust, when the match was rescheduled and the date and kick-off time was confirmed, said they were appalled at the lack of thought for the away fans, and they urged the incoming football independent regulator to try to consider supporters when changes like this are being made. And you can understand why they responded in that way, because this is far from ideal for fans who just want to watch their team.
Yeah, I mean, I completely disagree with it. I mean, obviously the TV has a lot of say in what goes on, but You know, when you've got such a distance between the two teams, I mean, I can kind of semi-understand it if it's, you know, teams that's, maybe it's an hour and a half away, something like that, maximum 2 hours away, I can kind of get that. But, you know, putting on this fixture at this time, when there was no fixture at 5:30 is baffling to me. You know, you've got fans that we all know it costs a lot of money to come to follow your team, no matter what team you follow. You know, ticket prices aren't cheap. Now, when you put on top of that, you know, possible hotel stays, which you normally wouldn't have to do, it just becomes a bit of a joke. And for me, it's basically not thinking about the fans at all. And I'm not just talking about Newcastle fans, because it's happened to other teams, and I just think it's pretty poor, really, because, you know, without the fans, we don't have anything.
Newcastle away to Fulham in the fourth round of the FA Cup, and one change to the team. Miguel Almiron is ill, say Newcastle. They also don't have Jamal Lascelles because of injury tonight. Jacob Murphy is back from a dislocated shoulder. He's missed 15 matches across all competitions, but he's in from the start tonight in place of Almiron. So it's Dubravka, Trippier, Schär, Botman, Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff in midfield, Murphy, Gordon and Isak, and the bench is Karius, Dummett, Ritchie, Kraft, Hall, Livramento, Parkinson, Alex Murphy and 18-year-old midfielder Travis Hearns. He played a handful of first team matches for Shrewsbury in the Football League and in other competitions, joined Newcastle's academy in the summer where he's been part of the under-18s team, but he gets the first taste of a senior matchday squad. Travis Hearns, who's from Norway, on the Newcastle United bench this evening. We are a few days away from the end of the January transfer window, and Eddie Howe yesterday, when he was talking to the media, addressed some of the speculation that has surrounded the future of a few of his key players. Let's hear from Eddie Howe on some of those now, because last week Newcastle turned down an offer from Bayern Munich for Kieran Trippier, someone they couldn't afford to lose.
It would have been a big blow for us because he's so important. He's such a big leader of the group. I think he inspires the other players. I think the other players gain confidence when he's with us. So yeah, he's a player that really affects the team, creates goals, is a big attacking player for us. Yeah, we would have missed him if he wasn't here, but thankfully he is, and he's hopefully going to be a big part of our future. Well, again, I want to make it clear, Kieran's head wasn't turned. You know, Kieran has only ever spoken so positively about his time here, about his experience here, about Newcastle as a club, about his relationship with the supporters, and I can say he was absolutely focused on the future, and his family are very happy here, so I think it's worked out well for him in the end.
Kieran Trippier then, Steve, looks like he'll be staying. Maybe it didn't feel that way a week ago, despite having a year and a half left on his contract. He's 33 years of age. He remains hugely important to Newcastle, and you can hear there how pleased Eddie Howe is that such an influential figure will be going nowhere unless something dramatic happens before the window closes.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at it in a couple of ways. I mean, a move like that for Kieran at this stage of his career, when he's 33, to Bayern Munich, which is, you know, let's be honest, one of the biggest names, biggest clubs in world football, it would have been a great move for him. But you've got to say it. Do you know what? I take my hat off to them. He didn't even push. Well, it comes across as though he's never pushed for the move. Even though he knew the interest, he still didn't push for the move. And it just goes to show the commitment that he's got for the club. You know, he was pretty much the first one, if not the first one, to come in to start this kind of, you know, transformation of the team, of the squad. He knows he's absolutely loved by the fans. He obviously feels that from the fans, and I think for me, I just think it's brilliant from him. I'm delighted he hasn't gone, because, you know, when you look at it, yes, it was just shy of 13 million. For me, what he offers, what he brings to the team on game day, and what he also brings to the dressing room, training ground and in the dressing room before games, I think is priceless. So for me, that would have been absolute pittance, really, for what he is worth. So I, for one, am really, really happy that, you know, 99% he's going to be staying at the club.
And Kieran Trippier captains Newcastle tonight, staying at St James's Park this month. Despite that interest from Bayern Munich, he is not in the Newcastle party tonight because of illness, Miguel Almiron, but it doesn't seem certain that he, like Trippier, will be staying.
There's been a lot of noise and a lot of speculation about his future, but certainly as his manager I'm desperate to keep him. He's been an integral part since I've come to the club, and in a sense of his contribution's been immense, whether that's goal scoring last season, work rate and discipline and commitment and professionalism all throughout his time. But yeah, there has been a lot of noise, and that noise comes from somewhere, but hopefully we can keep him when the window shuts quickly.
Now Eddie Howe didn't appear to rule anything out with Almiron there, Steve, and I reiterate, you may have just joined us, missed the team news. Almiron's not in the 11 tonight. Newcastle say he is unwell. There will be some supporters, some observers who feel that his absence tonight is connected with a potential move away. There are clubs in Saudi Arabia who are interested in Miguel Almiron. He is someone that if they were to sell would definitely need to be replaced, but he could bring in some important funds for them to reinvest in the team.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be looking at least to get the money back that you paid for him, which was what, 21 million or something. I think out of the three players that's been mentioned, which was Trippier, Wilson and Almiron, in my opinion, and obviously some of the listeners might disagree, I think out of the three of them, if you had to let one go, he'd be the one I'd let go. And I know Wilson has had his injury problems, but for me he still scores goals when he is fit. And Trippier, I've just spoke about him. So listen, as I said, the manager, if he says that he's unwell or he's got a slight knock or whatever it is, and that's why he's not here today, well then that's the case. But it just does look as though, I mean, listen, we all kind of look at things and 2 + 2 = 5. It's one of them ones, but we just have to wait and see. I think the main thing is the manager and the players concentrate on tonight, and then whatever happens.
A little bit more from Eddie Howe now on BBC Radio Newcastle as we continue to work our way towards the FA Cup 4th round tie here against Fulham. Steve Howie's just mentioned him. Callum Wilson is not yet back from injury. Newcastle have been looking at the trip to Aston Villa next week as a potential return date for Wilson from his calf problem. He has also, in the last week or so, been the subject of transfer speculation.
That's been a strange one, really, because I think there's been a lot of speculation again regarding Callum, and I've seen some of it, probably not all of it, but a lot of it I think has been unfounded. From our side, Callum is a huge part of what we're doing. We're desperate to get our two strikers fit at the same time, which we haven't had for a long time now, and that's hurt us in lots of different ways. But he's nearing fitness, nearing a return. He's looked good. He's not trained with us yet, but he's getting there. And there's no part of me that wants to lose Callum. In every conversation that I've had with Callum, very similar to Kieran, he's 100% committed to Newcastle. No part of him is looking elsewhere. He wants to come back and score goals. He's got big ambitions for the second half of the season, and we want to keep him here. But obviously some things are out of my control, and of course the club is acting within the long-term interest of the club, and it has to, and I understand that, and I'm fully supportive of it. So let's see what happens.
Another player, Callum Wilson there, who is north of 30 years of age, a year and a half left on his Newcastle deal. The biggest issue with Wilson, Steve, is always his fitness record, because when he is fit and he's getting a run in the team, he can be an elite striker. He was phenomenal at times last season. Reported interest from AC Milan, Atletico Madrid, West Ham have been linked. You can probably understand an argument for letting him go, but they only have Alexander Isak as a centre forward, so one of the arguments for keeping him is that there are no other striking options, and Eddie Howe needs them both fit and available.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, I've said for a long time, well actually I've said even when he was at Bournemouth, I like him. I think he's a good player. I think he's a goal scorer. He has got that explosive pace. That tends to happen with people that have got that pace. This is why they pick up calf injuries and hamstring injuries in particular, which he seems to do that. But I mean, you've just mentioned the teams that's interesting. Teams like that are not interested in players that's not kind of hitting the mark. Yeah, there's that double-edged sword with the fact that he does get injured, but as you said, goal scorers are very difficult to come by. Now, if you can just keep him fit, maybe it's just, I don't know, probably they would have looked at all kinds of different things about why is it that he gets injured that much. Is it something to do with his core strength? Is it something to do with his back, his pelvis, whatever it is? But a fit Callum Wilson is a very, very good player. So let's just try and hopefully get this transfer window out. But I would certainly keep him. As I said, out of the three of them, my choice would be let Almiron go, and I would definitely keep the other two.
We've got Steve Howie, the former Newcastle and England centre-back, with us on BBC Radio Newcastle tonight, filling in for John Anderson. Ando will be with us again on Tuesday at Aston Villa. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff at Craven Cottage here against Fulham. Let's hear a little bit more from Eddie Howe now on Joe Linton, who is going to be out with injury until May. There is a chance that he could play again this season, but it will be right at the end of the season. And he's someone that could be on the move in the summer. That, according to Eddie Howe, is if he doesn't agree terms over a new deal.
18 months is a sort of a vulnerable time left on your contract length. The club would need to either tie Joe down and sign a longer term contract, or there's an opportunity or a possibility that he will be maybe sold in the summer. That's just the reality of the situation. Again, as his manager, I'm determined for him to stay. I love him as a person and as a player, so that would be my wish, that he'd sign a long-term contract. Of course, there's more to it than that. There's Joe's wishes and what he wants, and before he signs a contract, he has to be entirely happy with everything, and we're not at that stage yet.
There won't be many people, Steve, of a black and white persuasion that will be happy if Joe Linton moves on. So Eddie Howe would like a contract agreed and signed. Pretty sure most supporters would. Hopefully they can get it all tied up for such an important player.
Yeah, I mean, the transformation for him, I think everybody would agree, is just 1,000,000%. I mean, he was gone from kind of ridiculed for some of the performances that he was putting in, to being pretty much one of the first names, if not the first name on the team sheet. Now, of course, he's looking at his contract, and his contract ends at the end of next season. But he knows his worth, and I think the club have to acknowledge that. As long as his representatives are not being silly and asking for astronomical, stupid money, I think hopefully something can be sorted out. He knows that he's, again, another player that's loved by the fans. He's got a great relationship with Guimaraes. The two of them seem as though they're kind of, basically brothers, off the pitch. I don't think he'd want to lose that as well. So that goes in Newcastle's favour, funny enough. But at the same time, I'm one of these where, listen, if a player performs, then, and his contract's coming up, look after him, because what you don't want him to do is see his contract out and then him leave for nothing.
Newcastle 11 tonight against Fulham in the FA Cup fourth round. Is Dubravka in goal, Trippier, who will captain the team, Cher, Botman and Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff across midfield, Jacob Murphy back from injury into the starting 11, Gordon and Isak, and on the bench Karius, Dummett, Ritchie, Kraft, Hall, Livramento, Parkinson, Alex Murphy, and 18-year-old midfielder in a matchday squad for the first time, Travis Hearns. More from Eddie Howe on the way here on BBC Radio Newcastle ahead of the 7 o'clock kickoff. But now we're going to head back to the studio and catch up on everything else that's been happening today in the FA Cup and the rest of the football and sport involving our North East teams. With all the details, here's Colin White.
Thank you very much indeed for the moment, Matthew Raisbeck and Steve Howie as well. This is the final one of 6 FA Cup fourth round ties today, but it was the first one of the day that provided the biggest shock of all.
Just waiting for the full-time whistle. It's all over! Maidstone United's players go racing towards their fans, ripping the amber shirts off. They have done the practically impossible this afternoon. 98 places below Ipswich Town in the football ladder. An Ipswich Town team flying this season, and they've beaten them by 2 goals to 1 to make it through to the last 16 of the FA Cup.
98 places between the two sides. Maidstone United of National League South knocking out second place in the Championship Ipswich Town by 2-1. Maidstone becoming in the process the lowest ranked non-league team to reach the last 16 of the FA Cup since the mighty Blythe Spartans did it all the way back in 1978. So congratulations to them. In the 3 o'clock games today, Luton left it very, very late, but they won 2-1 at Everton. Collie Woodrow with the winner in injury time. Leeds and Plymouth was an all-championship tie, and they'll have to do it all again because it finished 1 apiece today. 3 of the 4 games last night were finished in draws and went to derbies. Leeds Plymouth again is not derbies, replays, and Leeds Plymouth is the same again today. The other all-championship battle was a bit more straightforward though. Leicester beat Birmingham 3-0. Jamie Vardy, Yunus Akgun and Dennis Pratt with their 3 goals, and Brighton were 5-2 winners in the end away at Sheffield United. There was a Joao Pedro penalty ×2 in there, and he got a third later on as well. So a Joao Pedro hat-trick, and Danny Welbeck got one very, very late on just to make absolutely sure. There were 2 games in the Championship this afternoon. Millwall and Preston drew 1-0, but Sunderland got themselves back to winning ways in the other one by beating Stoke City 3-1 at the Stadium of Light to perhaps ease a little bit of the pressure on Michael Beale. The build-up to the game, though, dominated by the club's statement that midfielder Alex Pritchard refused to play and has asked to leave the club immediately, but they did do all right without him today. Here is Michael Beale on today's win.
Yeah, delighted with the players, delighted for them as well. Like lots of little individual things there, like Mason scoring his first goal, and the work effort of the boys and togetherness behind the scenes. I think it's been a difficult 2 weeks for him with the last 2 or 3 results, and today the effort they put in the game, but the effort they put in every day. As I say, I've been delighted with them, and it was a really good win today.
Yeah, and it takes them just outside the playoff places. They are only outside the Championship top 6 on goal difference. In non-league today, a terrific victory for Gateshead in the National League. 2-1 over Barnet. It ends the run of 5 games without a win. They've done the double over Barnet, who are third in the table as well. Luke Hannant with the equaliser 15 minutes into the second half, and then Kane Adam on his debut scoring the winner for Gateshead. Not such good news for our two sides in National League North, though, both beaten 2-1 at home. Blythe Spartans lost 2-1 to Warrington. Nicky Devericks with their goal from the penalty spot. And South Shields beaten by Boston United. Dylan Morse with what at the time was an equaliser after half an hour. But South Shields won Boston United 2. The full-time score, it was even worse for Morpeth in the NPL Premier Division because they lost 5-1 to Hyde United at Craig Park. 4 games in the East Division. Dunstan against Stockton Town on a difficult pitch finished goalless, but it's still unbeaten now in 8 matches for Dunstan. Concert are back into the playoff places. They won 3-1 at Cleethorpes, scored 3 in the space of 10 minutes in the first half, did Concert. Ashington, though, lost by the same scoreline, 3-1 at home to Sheffield. Hebburn beaten on the road away at North Ferriby. But there was a 4-0 win for Berwick Rangers in the Scottish Lowland League. Liam Buchanan scoring twice, 4 goals in 15 minutes actually in the second half. And in the Women's Championship as well, Sunderland have gone back top of the table. A terrific 2-0 win away at Blackburn today. Katie Kitching and Emily Scarr with their goals in the second half, and they will find out on Monday if they are in the quarterfinals of the Conti Cup as well, because there's still the investigation going on into the ineligible player that Aston Villa played in midweek. From football to rugby, there was no dream consecutive victory for the Newcastle Falcons today, but they were playing away at the Premiership leaders Northampton. The Saints winning by 38 points to 13. The only Falcons try scored by Adam Radwan, and their interim head coach Mickey Ward spoke to us afterwards.
The disappointing thing is 45 minutes in, there's 6 points in it, and even in that first half we've probably let a couple of tries away. We've made a couple of little mistakes and we've let them off the hook a few times in that first half, and I think we should have probably went in at half time ahead, in my opinion. We've came out after half time, first 5 or 6 minutes we've been right in it, sticking to task, and then they've just slightly got away from it. We've had a lot of entries into the 22. We've had one held up over the line, we've went off on our own agenda on another, and we haven't been clinical in there, whereas they get a chance to score, and then the game's slightly different. It goes from being a 6-point game, then you're into a 13-point game, then they get ahead again, and it's we've got a different mindset there. We sometimes start chasing it a little bit, we go off script, we'll lose a couple of simple balls and stuff like that, and then it's hard to recover. I said that to a few people beforehand. Obviously, when you're here, once they get away and the crowd gets behind them and they start getting little offloads and stuff, it's a tough day. So that, as I say, that first 45 minutes, I was pretty pleased with what we done in that first 45 minutes. It's just that last 35 where we've got to make sure we don't go off script and we stick to task.
That is Mickey Ward there, the Falcons interim head coach. The Falcons now have 2 months without a competitive game, with a break for the Six Nations that starts next weekend, and Steve Diamond will take over as consultant director of rugby in the next few days as well. In Rugby League, it was a tough old afternoon for Newcastle Thunder in their opening competitive match of the season at home to York Knights in the 1895 Cup group stage. They were 6-0 up early on and then conceded 114 points. It finished Newcastle Thunder 6, York Knights 114. It was pretty relentless, if we're honest, this afternoon. In basketball's WBBL Championship, Durham Palatinets were taking on Leicester Riders at home at lunchtime today, but they lost by 75 points to 62. Harriet Otterwill-Soulsby, their top point scorer, on 16. On the other side of the world, a century from Ollie Pope gave England's cricketers hope in the first test against India, and Hyderabad, he was unbeaten, still is, on 148. England closed day 3 on 316 for 6 in their second innings, so that's a lead of 126 runs. In horse racing, the 18-year-old jockey Freddie Gingell was riding the 22-1 outsider Elixir de Nuts and caused a huge upset on trials day at Cheltenham. They beat the hot favourite John Bond to win the rearranged Clarence House Chase. The race is normally run at Ascot, but it was rearranged because of the weather. Luke Littler has gained revenge on Luke Humphreys in the darts. He's beaten him by 6 legs to 5 in the Dutch Darts Masters quarter-finals. That's only finished in the last few minutes. Earlier on today, Arina Sabalenka successfully defended her Australian Open tennis women's singles title. She beat China's Zhengxin Wen 6-3, 6-2 to win back-to-back titles in Melbourne, and she's the first woman to do so since fellow Belarusian Victoria Azarenka did it back in 2013. It is the men's singles final tomorrow morning. Russia's Daniil Medvedev is appearing in his 3rd Melbourne final, and he's taking on Italy's Yannick Sinner, who is making his Grand Slam final debut. Live commentary from just before 8:30 tomorrow morning on BBC Radio 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. Our match tonight, that starts in just under 20 minutes, is also available on BBC Sounds if you live within the UK. So let's get back to Craven Cottage. Newcastle United at Fulham in the 4th round of the FA Cup. Matthew Racebeck and Steve Howie are back with the rest of the build-up after this.
My name is Annie McManus.
And my name is Nick Grimshaw.
How long have we known each other, babe?
Probably 20 years now.
And in that time, we've always worked in and around music, right?
We have.
So it kind of makes sense that we do a podcast about it.
It sounds like it's been 20 years in the making. It's not Avatar for podcasts, basically. But it is good.
So we put the world to rights with regards to music.
It's all the stuff that you'd want to chat to your mate about over a pint.
Brand new Sidetracked with us, Annie and Nick. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Doku, the Belgian keeps the ball. Miley with another challenge. Doku comes away with it again. Oh, and he's found Walker in lots of space on the near right-hand side. Kyle Walker's low cross, it's turned in. Bernardo Silva has scored at the near post, and Newcastle, unhappy that they didn't get a decision at the start of that move, now find themselves behind. Bruno in midfield. Now for Isak to chase. Played in behind by Bruno's ball. Isak into the penalty area.
Oh, what a goal!
What a finish! What a finish! Alexander Isak. That is top quality. The ball played over to Isak, who took it inside and has curled it and lifted it beyond Ortega and into the back of the net. It's Gordon away down the left wing into the penalty area. Gordon! Oh! Anthony Gordon! How about that? What a strike! Newcastle have tipped this one on its head in the matter of minutes. Burned down the line to free up Gordon, who cut inside and bent it away from Ortega. It's another brilliant finish, and it's Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 1. De Bruyne's got space, he's got plenty of it, edge of the area, drives it into the bottom corner. Dear, oh dear. De Bruyne into the area looking for Bob. Oscar Bob is there and has scored. He's taken it around Dubravka, having nipped in behind Trippier, and Newcastle United might just have lost this in added on time. Oh, it's so cruel. Manchester City have hit back from 2-1 down. They lead by 3 goals to 2.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
That was the last time they were in action 2 weeks ago. Really tough one to take against the champions Manchester City. They're in a great position, Steve. I know you were at the match, weren't you, at St James's Park, with a quick turnaround, 2 great goals, but Kevin De Bruyne made such a difference for Manchester City. Newcastle didn't really have the options on the bench. City had one of the best players around, and they suffered another defeat because of it.
I mean, it was a little bit harsh, but if I'm being brutally honest, did Man City deserve it with their second half performance? Probably, yeah. I think you look at Man City really pegged Newcastle back in the second half, and it was pretty much one way. You're looking towards the end, you're thinking, I tell you what will be a great point, because they've been hanging on. Good saves, good challenges, they missed some chances, but obviously just didn't get quite over the line. But the first half performance for me was absolutely superb. It's the first time I've seen really Man City rattled, and that's playing against any of the other top teams. They got at them, wouldn't let them settle, were very dangerous on the break, and 2 excellent goals. So yeah, I mean, it was disappointing for them, but I think they can take heart from actually the performance, and they know when they perform like that, they've got, again, I've said it earlier in the show, the best team in the world, and they are the best team in the world. It's proven, and they had them on the back foot.
Newcastle have had 2 weeks of training, but a bit of time off as well for the players. Probably something that they needed after an intense period in preparation for this one here against Fulham. And Craven Cottage may not be as full as it otherwise would be for a big FA Cup tie, and there are lots of gaps in the home section, so we're still 15 minutes away from kickoff, Steve, but lots of empty black and white seats visible all around the ground. Some Fulham supporters are actually staying away tonight in protest against the price of the tickets for the game. The cheapest adult ticket for a Fulham fan in the home section was £40, and there is a campaign, Affordable Fulham they call it, and those supporters who are part of that campaign, some of them are not turning up tonight because they don't feel that the ticket pricing is fair and represents good value, and they feel that it should be cheaper. So there could be some big sections of the Fulham ends of Craven Cottage that don't have as many supporters in as they would probably like for what is another huge cup tie for them. We talked earlier, didn't we, about Newcastle fans and the kick-off time and the fact they can't get a train back after the match tonight, and the inconvenience. Well, Fulham supporters, some of them feel that the ticket prices are not fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a fan, it's really expensive to be a football fan, and I think when you're coming down, if you've got children or you and your partner, your wife, whatever it is that want to come to the game, it's not a cheap thing to do. So of course the fans have got every right to voice their opinion. I mean, I'm going across to the brand new stadium. I mean, obviously where the posh seats are, if you want, like the director's bit and all around there's not one person sitting in the seat. Either side of that, it's intermittent with like kind of a person there, nobody, person there, nobody, 2 people there, nobody. That's on both sides, so it's a little bit sparse. But as you said, there's about 13-14 minutes to come. That might come in, but I agree. If for me, fans are the most important people in football. You can talk about players, you can talk about managers and all that kind of thing, but for me it has to be the fans. You've got to treat them right and look after them, because otherwise you get sort of boycotts like this, which as far as I'm concerned they have every right to do.
Well, Fulham fans were trying to support their team towards Wembley the other night, but they lost the tie overall against Liverpool in the semi-finals of the League Cup. It was a 1-1 draw at Craven Cottage on Wednesday, but they went out after the damage done in the first leg at Anfield, a 2-1 defeat, so 3-2 on aggregate, and that followed a 1-0 defeat in the Premier League by their neighbours Chelsea away from home a fortnight ago. So Fulham with a couple of defeats in recent times, and actually their form over a longer period is probably slightly better than Newcastle's, but it's not great. It's 2 wins from 9, though they did beat Arsenal at home in the Premier League on New Year's Eve as part of that particular sequence. Their team is Marek Rodak in goal, Kenny Tete, Tim Ream, Issa Diop and Anthony Robinson in defence, Sasha Lukic and Harrison Reed in the middle of the park, Bobby De Cordova-Reid, Andreas Pereira, Harry Wilson and then Rodrigo Muniz up front. They've made 7 changes from the team that was selected to play Liverpool. On the bench, the goalkeeper Stephen Bender, Tosin Adarabioyo, Raul Jimenez, Tom Kearney, Willian, Timothy Castagna, João Palhinha, Carlos Vinicius and Tyrese Francois. Their manager is Marco Silva, who is a big admirer of Newcastle, but he knows that United's form, a bit like Fulham's, hasn't been great over the last few weeks.
The run is not the best for them. I mentioned when we played against them last December at St James Park that even if they went through in the Champions League or even to play Europa League, their group stage started really well. They had very, very good moments too. Of course, the last 2 games they were not the best for them. That game in Paris that made a huge impact, in my opinion, in their run. But they started really well. They are really strong. The first moments in playing Champions League as well, and of course, in Premier League, this type of downs can happen as well. It's been tough for them the last 4 or 5 games in Premier League, but they are Newcastle. They have enough quality to change it quick. As we spoke before, they have had enough time to prepare this game, looking for all the details from the last games that they haven't achieved the good results, and we expect a really strong side. They have been taking very good decisions too, and you can see the players they have been signing the last 3-4 windows. They made a huge impact in that squad. Some of them with a straight impact, like Bruno and all that players, Isaac as well, and Gordon too, and these type of players they made a huge impact, of course, in a very good group of players with a great fan base behind them every time. And of course, when you have this type of support, it's always a big help, but you have to do the right things, and they have been doing.
Total Sport North East.
The FA Cup.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
That's the Fulham view of Newcastle from their manager Marco Silva. United, Dubravka, Trippier, Schär, Botman, Byrne, who used to play for Fulham, got a big move here from Darlington at the start of his career and had 5 years on the books of Fulham, couple of loan spells before moving on permanently. Miley, Bruno, Longstaff in midfield. Jacob Murphy back from injury and starts. Gordon and Isak are the other players in the front 3. No Almiron because of illness, no Lascelles through injury. It's 2 weeks since Eddie Howe's players were last in action. Will they have come back from the Premier League's short winter break energised?
Yeah, well, I think you saw an energised performance against Manchester City, but you probably saw an energised performance for 60 minutes of the game, and we just couldn't carry that through. And again, I'm not making excuses, but I think it was the inability to maybe make attacking changes that we needed to, because if you look at the distance that some of those players covered and how hard we had to work to contain them, they were really high levels, and it was just probably that inability that cost us. But I hope, I can never guarantee it, but I hope, and from what I've seen in training, I think we will see a very energetic performance, and hopefully a really good technical one, because we've done a lot of work in that area.
FA Cup again this weekend, massive result for you in the last round, winning a derby and getting your cup run going. How important will this competition continue to be for you this season if you can stay in it? Yes,
it's a big moment in our season, as the Sunderland game was, and the lads really responded to that challenge. This is an important competition for us now. It takes on a new dynamic because of what's gone before. We are desperate to get our best form back. I think there's signs of that against Sunderland and Manchester City. So, we take this game very seriously.
Very finally, Fulham away, so it's an all Premier League match. I guess you'd rather have been at home, but you beat them only a few weeks ago. What do you make of the challenge that you'll face there?
Yeah, tough game. I think you look at the game against Liverpool, that they had a couple of days ago, and that was a really good game, high quality game. And I thought Fulham were close, created a number of chances, and I thought we were pretty good in the game. And Marco's done a brilliant job. I think they continue to improve and grow, which is always very difficult in the league that we're in. So we know it'll be a tough game.
Total Sport North East.
Matthew Raisbeck and Steve Howie.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
Well, he feels, Steve, that the break will probably have been beneficial, but his other point there, Eddie Howe, was that for 60 minutes against Manchester City they did have the energy and the intensity. I think it's understood that one of the reasons why it's not there across 90 minutes is that he hasn't been able to freshen up the team with changes in attacking areas, and that's probably the case tonight. But the 11 that he's picked has Murphy back in it from injury, and as we were saying earlier, it is a strong Newcastle side.
It is, yeah. I mean, I don't think I've known any team really to go at full tilt for the full 90 plus minutes. You know, obviously everybody puts the effort in, but I thought, as I said, I thought the first half performance was excellent. Yes, 10-15 minutes in the second half was okay, but you could always just see that Man City were getting on top. Now, I think if the team can have what they did against Manchester City in the first half against this Fulham team, I don't think there's no coming back from Fulham. But obviously they've got to take the chances if they can actually create them. As I said, I was a little bit surprised, as you said, what was it, 7 changes from the Liverpool game?
Yeah.
Which I think is a lot, you know, and some of the players that he has put on the bench are big players for Fulham. So I'm surprised at that from Silva. I think Newcastle could take advantage of them, but it's up to Newcastle to take advantage of it, because, you know, the longer the game goes on, Silva might look at it and obviously start bringing on these players that would normally start, they're bigger players, and then that could change the game. So listen, this is a great opportunity for the team to sort of get off to a flyer, you know, get all those fans that's come down, because that side, that's the only part of the ground that's packed. You know, the other side of the ground is not. So it would be brilliant if they could get the fans on that side that's come down, paid all that money. You know, it is a difficult fixture with it being 7 o'clock and not being able to get home unless you have that long drive, and it will be a brilliant payback if they can give them a great result tonight.
Here come the teams from the tunnel in the corner to our left side. Newcastle led out by Kieran Trippier. Tim Ream, the Fulham captain, directing his players onto the pitch, where they will line up across the halfway line towards the far side in front of the 2 benches, next to a couple of red and white FA Cup branding boards. Newcastle already made it further this season in the FA Cup than they have for 4 years, out in round 3, and the 3 campaigns prior to this one, losing at Arsenal, home defeat by Cambridge, and last year eliminated by Sheffield Wednesday. They've got a chance to continue their run in the FA Cup. It could be so important for them, out of the Champions League, eliminated from the League Cup just before Christmas, 10th in the Premier League, having slid down the table. So with the FA Cup still active and still alive for them, Eddie Howe, who also wants them to get back into the European places in the league, sees that in the second half of the season there is still so much to go for.
Yeah, there's different ways you can look at things. Of course, that's one way, and that's a very negative view. We've had some unbelievable experiences this year that hopefully we'll benefit for in the future. We're 10th in the league, but very little gap between us and the teams above us. Yes, we're still in the FA Cup and we're determined to try and go well in that competition. So I think we have to be very positive about the situation. We've got a group of players that I see every day that are very committed and very keen to do well in the second half of the season, so hopefully that can show.
That's Eddie Howe, who was responding to questions yesterday at his press conference that Newcastle's season would be in danger of fizzling out, especially if they got a bad result here tonight. They will be wearing their away kit, which is green, the green shirts, white shorts and socks. I don't know what you like with superstitions, Steve, in terms of kits and things like that, but in competitive action, I don't think they've won while wearing this. They drew at Wolves in green, lost away at Brighton in Dortmund, and at Bournemouth in this kit. So they need to get lucky in it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't say it was a superstition, but I always used to put one ankle pad on before the other. Well, obviously before the other, but like one on my left. I always go to my left first. Yeah, I mean, I think some players can read a lot into it, and some players just take absolutely no notice. I think at the end of the day, it's a strip. It's the colour of a strip. I think if you go out, no matter, even if you've got a, whatever it is on, as long as you're committed into doing what you can do, I think, and you've just got to take your chances and be together as a team. And I think tonight, really, I feel actually very, very confident in tonight's performance. I just think, given the fact they've had a break, and obviously the performance against Manchester City, which, yes, they got beat, but I thought they could have taken a lot of heart from, I think it's a great opportunity for them here tonight just to sort of say, listen, this season is not petering out, it's not fizzling away, we're here to have a good cup run.
Newcastle United, one change to the team. Jacob Murphy in for Almiron. It's Dubravka, Trippier, Schär, Botman, Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff, Murphy, Gordon and Isak. We are underway in the FA Cup, live on BBC Radio Newcastle. And the green shirts of United kicking towards the goal to the right as we look. A long pass forward from Fabian Schär, one back at the edge of the area, then Newcastle get it back through Jacob Murphy, and Sean Longstaff goes down near the corner of the box outside the area, doesn't get a free kick. It looked like a trip, but the referee Jared Gillett, his second Newcastle match of the season after the League Cup defeat by Chelsea, didn't agree, and he's actually awarded Fulham a free kick.
Yeah, I thought it was a foul, and then there was a little bit of tussling. Miley was involved in that as well, and then he has given a free kick. But that long ball initially from Schär, it's a great ball, and I think it's unfortunate because it hits Isak on the back. You know, if it just runs through, I think either he's through or Murphy's through. So it was a good ball, good run, but as it happens, it's Fulham with a free kick.
And it's the goalkeeper, Marek Rodak, who sends it upfield. Rodak in goal, Tete, Ream, Diop and Robinson in defence. Lukic and Reed, the central midfield players. De Cordova, Reed on the left, Wilson on the right, Pereira in the hole behind Muniz up front. This is Harry Wilson away from goal, coming back into the centre as Fulham attack down the far side. It's the midfielder Harrison Reed, just rolling it short, and now it's played back by Wilson to Diop and Ream. Murphy putting a few sprints in as he closes down the goalkeeper. Another long ball forwards, Botman rises, it's gone backwards off his header, and big Dan Byrne up into midfield. It bounces onto the chest of Sasha Lukic for Fulham, and it's carried back into the home team's half of the pitch and given to the goalkeeper, who's wearing all red tonight, black gloves and white boots. And the Fulham outfield players, white shirts with black across the shoulders and on the sleeves, black shorts and black socks. 0-0 in the 3rd minute. Harrison Reed with a cross from the right, taken into the area, and then a shot at the near side of the goal, which is lashed over the top by Rodrigo Muniz.
Yeah, it was a good break. Wilson looking dangerous on that far side. A good little ball into Muniz. When it would have been a wonder goal if he can hit it from there, because it is bouncing, so he's got to get on top of it, he's got to keep it down, he's got to have the direction. Gets none of them right, blazes it over the top. But there's that diagonal ball hitting for Wilson next to Byrne.
Martin Dubravka with a ball which is chested down by Fulham's Tim Ream on halfway. And they've got it in midfield through Sasha Lukic, down the left wing to Andreas Pereira. Fabian Schär pushes the ball away. Kieran Trippier looking for Lewis Miley. He played it against Miley. It was all very tight. Then Newcastle through Bruno and Miley. Couple of challenges. And Fulham recover possession. It's competitive stuff there. It's played over to the far side. And Harry Wilson with with the ball just ahead of the halfway line. Ream to Robinson, angled ball towards the edge of the area, cut out by Bruno, who read it, and he passes it to Cher. Trippier to Miley, gets closed down inside to Bruno, drags it away. Oh, and then under pressure from Pereira, has misplaced the pass. Fulham player down on the edge of the box. Jared Gillett gives nothing, and away go Newcastle United through Anthony Gordon, over halfway and into the final third. Isak wants it, might be offside. Isak, left side of the penalty area, still got it. Isak forced away from goal, looking for Murphy and Miley, and then cleared, and De Cordova-Reid passes it back to Robinson. They've given it away. And shot straight at the goalkeeper. An effort straight at the keeper from Jacob Murphy on his return from injury. He could have given them an early lead.
Yeah, I mean, he really doesn't do anything. He hits it. I don't think he can hit it any straighter, but you didn't want him to hit any straighter either side of the goalkeeper. Then it makes him parry, and then something can happen. But basically, if there was a target there, you wanted him to hit it, he hit it perfectly. Either side, you've got to go low or you've got to whip it across him. Doesn't do either. Easy save, really, for the goalkeeper.
Anthony Gordon's on the floor and has rolled around a couple of times, holding his right leg following a challenge that Jared Gillett has deemed an illegal one, and it's a Newcastle free kick, left side in Fulham's half, but a good 35 yards from the goal. 6th minute of the match, 0-0. Big chance for Murphy with that opportunity, right-footed from the back of the penalty box. Fabian Cher onto Murphy, tries to touch it down the line. He's played it against Robinson for Fulham, and Muniz holds off Trippier. Pereira now in the centre circle for the home side. A diagonal ball, trying to find Robinson with a run towards the goal line into the corner, but the ball's beaten him and it's a Newcastle goal kick.
Yeah, I think when the ball comes into Murphy and he tries that just like the first time flick around the corner, listen, when it comes off it looks great, but for me, what you do it 10 times it might come off twice. Just get a hold of it, get possession.
Steve Howie with us on BBC Radio Newcastle tonight. It's United ball in the right full-back position. Bruno makes a short run to Trippier, and then Miley gets close to Kieran Trippier, doesn't receive the ball. He needs something with no options. It's on towards Isak, who flicks it forwards towards the halfway line. Diop back into the corner, and Trippier sees it out for another throw as the away fans increase the volume. Bruno caught on it, edge of the area. It's the second time there's been an error from Bruno in that sort of position, but he managed to recover this time, Steve, and play it back to Dubravka.
Yeah, the second one, just that one there, he's kind of dwelling on it a bit too long. The first one, he goes to look to pass it, changes his mind, and the ball just rolls away from him. Has to make a decision, and he has to make them quicker.
Dubravka along the goal line towards the corner on the left, forwards from Botman straight to Fulham, and it's running behind for a corner kick, first of the night. Newcastle tried to pass their way out from the back, only succeeded in returning the ball to Fulham, who can send up for the corner Tim Ream and the 6'4" Issa Diop, who is marching into the penalty area right now.
I like the idea of trying to pass it out, but sometimes you've just got to clear your lines because the other team sets traps.
It's rolled short to Wilson, back to Reid, and Pereira on the far side. Low ball into the box, Isak to Bruno, and away, but it's gone out. It's Newcastle's ball. Fulham player got a touch to deflect it over the line, and out for this throw for Dan Burn. Short to Bruno, back again. Burn right-footed, lifts it towards halfway. Diop intercepts, on by Wilson. Botman volleys clear. Isak heads it to the left wing. Gordon can't get there. Kenny Tete for Fulham down the line. Back into midfield to Harry Wilson, who's started pretty well. He looks up for it this evening, the Welsh international. Andreas Pereira back to Issa Diop in the 9th minute. And Diop back to his goalkeeper Rodak. There's no goals for Craven Cottage in this opening period. Muniz tries to flick on to put out on the near side. It's a Fulham throw close to the halfway line. And Lukic receives it from Robinson, the American with a bleached hair. Back to Ream, who's got his blonde hair in a ponytail. De Cordova-Reid to Lukic, carries it across midfield, right side of the centre circle. Now Diop puts his foot on the ball, inside to Lukic, who has it again, and then Lukic, the Serbia international, just exchanging passes with Diop, and it's out for a throw for Fulham in their half of the pitch on the far side. Still the Murphy opportunity, the best chance and the only real chance that either team has created so far.
A kind of a half chance for Fulham. I think it was at Nunez. That was a difficult one, but he took it on though. But yeah, it was a big chance for Murphy.
Miley competes for the ball near the centre spot. It's gone up in the air, and Trippier down to Miley. Some tidy play. Back to Murphy under pressure. Rolls it to Cher. On to Bruno. Turns away. Passes it back to Botman. Almost intercepted in the box by Rodrigo Muniz, the Fulham striker. Taking another risk, Bruno.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be sort of saying, just calm down, I knew what I was doing.
Sven Botman. Forwards he comes towards the middle of Newcastle's half. Thought about a pass to the right to Cher. It's instead with Byrne and now Gordon. Botman gets it back, edge of the area. Byrne down the line. Gordon is beyond. Longstaff looks for him with a pass. He's found Gordon. Down under a challenge again, and another free kick for Fulham's attempts at tackling Newcastle's Anthony Gordon.
Yeah, it's a couple of times he's been caught.
Miley, good ball. Trippier in space, middle of the Fulham half. On towards Murphy, cut out by Ream and cleared. Cher with it on halfway, 0-0. Miley stretching to control it, back to Cher. Inside it comes to Botman in the centre circle. Byrne for Gordon just past halfway. His first touch takes him back, and then he tries to move infield. Kenny Tete with a sliding challenge to Fulham right back, and now they're off on the attack, but Gordon makes a tackle, and Fulham play it forwards a second time. De Cordova-Reid in the corner on this near side, the Fulham left. Robinson back to Lukic. 4 on the edge of the area, goes into the box, straight into the hands of Dubravka.
Yeah, a little bit of decent possession for Fulham, put the ball in from Robinson. It's a poor one, lets Newcastle off. Comfortable save really for Dubravka, but just as I said a couple of times, Gordon gets the ball. There seems to have the Fulham players just thinking, get on him as quick as we can and put in them challenges, and if we don't win the ball, then we don't win the ball. But he's certainly feeling it.
Cher with a ball that's bending away into the right corner. Robinson there before Murphy, and clears it against Jacob Murphy. Behind it goes for a goal kick. He took a touch, Robinson, and then had to play it, otherwise it may have run for a corner, and in the end probably defended it pretty well. Rodak has got 2 defenders in the box next to him. He's gone long. It's an accurate ball up to Muniz, who takes it down, finds De Cordova-Reid. Cher intercepts his forward pass. Trippier then with a header to Bruno, almost caught on it, but they found Longstaff with the ball, and this is Gordon. Isak with a run. Gordon holds it up and turns. Longstaff left side on the halfway line. Fulham 0, Newcastle 0 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Isak, lovely skill, brilliant disguise on the ball. Then a pass on the outside, and big Dan Byrne has won a corner.
Yeah, decent little build-up play. Again, could Gordon have played in Isak? He made that good run. Maybe he just didn't feel as though he could squeeze that through, and possibly also thought, I don't want to lose possession. So They've recycled it. Eventually it has found Isak. It's played in Damburn. Fortunately just can't get the ball in, but it is Newcastle corner.
Their first attacking set piece. It's played back to Gordon, and then Trippier in towards the near post, and Roddick had to get down low to make the block. Almost caught out the goalkeeper by Trippier's ball in. Now Gordon from outside the area, and it's driven wide at the near side from Anthony Gordon. A powerful shot, right-footed. And Fulham have a goal kick, but that's close from Newcastle, and Gordon in particular.
Yeah, well, the first one, the ball comes back out to Trippier and he whips it in. I think it's Shaw that's in front of the goalkeeper, but he's done nothing wrong, but the goalkeeper reacts very well, quickly. Just watching the replay here, his shirt's getting pulled. We'll talk about the directive. It's like the triangle on the shirt. That could be a penalty, but nothing's given.
I must remind you, there is VAR tonight, because this is a match played at a Premier League stadium. Fulham on the attack, sliding challenge from Newcastle through Sven Botman actually, and it's a throw close to the corner, but not a free kick. VAR tonight is Tony Harrington, who's from Hartlepool. Not only is there an assistant VAR as usual, there's also an extra official, a support VAR, a SPAR, as they are known for short. It's something that the FA had for the third round ties. We may talk a bit more about that if there's an appropriate break in play. Fulham from the throw into the box. Botman tries to push it away. They're still on the attack on the far side. In comes the cross. It's a dangerous one. Trippier down, and then Miley clears into the Fulham half. Could have gone anywhere. Fortunately, Lewis Miley was in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good ball in. He's whipped it in. I think Trippier's got to give Shaw a shout. You know, I can get that, so leave it for Trippier, and he can clear it cleanly. As it is, Shaw's kind of backing off, and it just goes over his head. Could have caused a few problems because it then hit Trippier, and it could have gone anywhere. Luckily, it didn't. They managed to clear the lines.
It's 0-0. Fulham crossfield ball's gone out of play on the far side. Extra VAR official, Steve. It's something that has happened in European and in FIFA matches before, and in the third round of the FA Cup, but they've got another person in there to try and offer support, but could it confuse matters? Another voice?
Well, I think it just goes to show that, you know, a lot of mistakes have been made. So therefore, they probably need another like sort of body in there, another head in there, just to have a look at it. But then you've got too many opinions.
Harry Wilson for Fulham into the penalty area. Rodrigo Muniz and Martin Dubravka down low to make a one-handed save and turn the ball behind.
Yeah, it's basically come from nothing. You know, Newcastle kind of they lose possession. It goes out. I think it's Wilson that just pokes it through to Muniz. He doesn't really catch it. It looks as though he catches it with the middle of the foot in his heel, so he doesn't catch it properly, but actually that helps him because it looks as it's going right in the corner. Dubravka gets down very well, pushes it out.
Corner on the left side, Andreas Pereira's ball in. It's gone up and behind. Another corner. It's a Diop challenge for it, the giant defender, and Newcastle did enough to see it.
Yeah, he scored against Liverpool, but Botman did well there with the challenge, put him off.
Pereira, another ball in towards the near post area. It's gone back out for another corner. The ball went up and took an age to come down, and as it went behind, Jared Gillett signalled for a third corner in this particular attack from Fulham. Andreas Pereira to deliver it once again, and it's a near post header from Isak, the position Alan Shearer always used to occupy and head clear from.
Yeah.
This is Bruno as Newcastle get it into midfield, and Isak carrying. Gordon running up ahead. Isak's played it back to Bruno, and Fulham have regained possession. De Cordova-Reid. Bruno trying to win it back. They threatened to break and get in behind Newcastle, and then it just didn't quite come together. Now it's a ball over the top from Fulham that's run behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, you could say maybe slight misunderstanding, slightly sloppy from Isak. Bruno Guimaraes leaves him the ball, he goes, he drives forward. Excuse me, continued to drive forward, but he wants to flick it back to Guimaraes, lose possession.
0-0 on BBC Radio Newcastle. Trippier down the line, Murphy inside on the half turn, trying to guide it towards Isak, but it's straight back to Fulham, and Ream, the American, to his international teammate Anthony Robinson at left back, and now Diop from the middle of defence, almost ran into traffic, had to turn and quickly play it back to his goalkeeper with green Newcastle shirts nearby. From the ball forwards, Lewis Miley's found a pass for Jacob Murphy, and then Bruno with a ball for Miley on the right wing, lifting it into the centre. Miley's cross headed out by Fulham, and that's gone for a Newcastle throw close to the corner flag.
Yeah, I think it's about time we kind of put a little bit more pressure on them, because just over the last 5-10 minutes you feel as though Fulham's just getting slightly the upper hand.
Trippier's taken the throw, looking for Murphy. Hit the floor as the ball went towards him. No free kick, and now Fabian Schär has taken down Rodrigo Muniz towards the corner. This will be a yellow card for Schär. The collision as Muniz was getting the better and in behind Schär, just lost the flight of the ball, and their legs collided. Free kick and a caution.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. You could see him like a mile off what he was intending to do. I think he's just kind of took his eye off the ball slightly, and then by the time he's looked at the ball again, just for that split second, centre forward's away. He knows he's not going to catch him. So yes, he puts a tiny little hand on his arm. That's not enough. It's the legs when they make contact with each other. But without a doubt, he knows exactly what he's doing. It's one of them ones where, as you see it, take one for the team. But having said that, you know, it's in a dangerous position for Fulham. You know, they've got a great angle here to whip one in and cause some problems.
Harry Wilson left-footed, Andreas Pereira could go with the right foot. Jacob Murphy's the only Newcastle player behind the line of spray that's been applied to the pitch, and there are bodies in white shirts that they can hit from this free kick. Wilson, dangerous ball, and Schär stuck his leg out to try and clear. It beat him, and it's kept alive on the far side, aimed in towards Diop, and Botman volleys it out, and it'll come for a throw on this near side. What a free kick.
Yeah, we were right behind that. It's a great free kick. It's whipping away from the goalkeeper, but in that horrible area. None of the Fulham players take a gamble.
Almost at the midway point in the first half on BBC Radio Newcastle in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Harrison Reed's offside from a Fulham ball down the line. Newcastle, Dubravka, Trippier, Schär, Botman, Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff, Jacob Murphy back from injury, Gordon and Isak. Almiron is ill, Lascelles also missing through injury, but Livramento back in the squad as a substitute. It's Dubravka in the 6-yard box, has to play it square to Schär on a yellow card now. A crossfield pass which is intercepted, didn't have the direction that he was looking for towards Gordon, and Fulham have possession again in Newcastle's half, closer to halfway than the box. Now a forward ball from Lukic, and work to the right wing. Tete's cross, but it seemed to miss kick it, and Bruno's passed it straight to Diop. Robinson lifts the ball in, Dubravka rises and catches and wants to play quickly, rolls it out to Bruno Guimaraes, onto Isak. First touch takes him backwards, then it's forwards to Gordon. Byrne going beyond, Gordon then inside to Bruno. On the left, behind halfway, Trippier's pulled out to the near right side to stretch the play, using the width Newcastle. Gordon for Bruno again, still in their half of the pitch, and back to Botman. Schär inside to Botman midway through the first half. Steve Howie, 0-0. What have you made of it?
I thought Newcastle started off okay, but as time's gone on, Fulham's got stronger and stronger. I mean, certainly the team, even though Newcastle's had the better chance, Fulham's had better opportunities, like more opportunities, but they just seem to be getting a bit more of a foothold into the game as Fulham.
Isak taking the ball under control in the Fulham half, and still with Newcastle in their green away kit tonight, white shorts and white socks. Trippier involved now, Murphy down the line potentially, floats it into the area, Gordon coming in, but the goalkeeper coming out and off his line, catches.
intentions there from Trippier. I can see what he's trying to do, just doesn't get the right connection on it. As you see, it was cherries for the goalkeeper, just picked that out very easily.
Ream inside to Lukic. He has a player on his shoulder. It's Bruno. He released the ball in time, and Fulham with possession at the back. It's Ream. He's having a look. It's over halfway to Robinson, closed down by Murphy. Ball goes back to Ream. It's played short to Lukic. Ream again on his left. He's gone for the diagonal ball to switch it. It's turned into a good pass for Wilson. Tete tries to link up with Wilson, who's on the floor in the box. Gordon made an attempt at a tackle, and then Newcastle couldn't get clear, and they've conceded a corner.
Yeah, if you look at the Fulham play, you can always gather by the reaction, oh yeah, he's just dove. He's got no chance of getting it, so he's just dove. I mean, for me, them kind of things, I think the referee should stop that and boot the player, because that is 100% simulation.
Play continued, and now Andreas Pereira will take a corner from the far side, having delivered 3 in a very short space of time a few minutes ago from the near left side. Diop in there again, but it's to the back of the box towards De Cordova-Reid, and Cher with a header, and Robinson chasing for the ball with Fabian Cher. That was a good battle for it. They were both fully committed. Robinson made the tackle, and Newcastle have a throw. Both ended up off the pitch next to the advertising board. Fulham fans enjoyed.
It was a good challenge. Old school, proper challenge.
Throw's been taken. Shares with it in the corner. Long ball into the Fulham half. Too high and too long for Isak. Rodak from outside of his box clips it up into the United half. Share forward on the volley towards Miley, but it's Fulham with possession, and Pereira now in the centre circle. Lukic has taken it out to the left, and Robinson back inside to Lukic. It's a rare start for him. They signed him from Torino in Italy last January. He's usually a sub in the Premier League, but has been given a bit more time in cup competitions. Sasha Lukic for Fulham in midfield. 0-0 at a ground where Newcastle got a good recent record. They've won their last 3 here. It was 4-1 in the league last season, 2-0 on the final day a couple of years ago, and Rafa Benitez's final match on the final day in 2019 they won quite emphatically by 4 goals to 0 in glorious sunshine. But tight tonight so far. Fulham having more of the ball, and there they've just wasted a pass towards Harrison Reed on the right side. Newcastle throw.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy from Fulham. As I said, they're just getting a little bit more every single as the minutes tick by. Newcastle just have to try and get a hold of it, try and keep possession, not give it away too cheaply.
They've lost it from the throw. It was Longstaff. Dan Byrne turns and has a go at Darren Cam, the assistant referee on the far side. He felt it should have been Newcastle's ball, but it's not. And we play on with the pass from Fulham back into their own half to Diop, the right-sided central defender. Lukic on the outside away from Gordon and trying to get it in behind the Newcastle defence, but Botman is able to bring it down with a pass for Byrne, and this is Longstaff who gets a throw near to the 2 dugouts far side of the field. 28 minutes have been played. Newcastle with Murphy a shot straight at the goalkeeper when he picked up the ball from a Fulham mistake, a back pass. Trippier with a cross that almost caught the keeper out at the near side, and as part of that passage of play after it was cleared, Gordon with a driven effort just wide. Those are their only goal scoring opportunities tonight so far. Byrne to Bruno. Diagonal ball. Murphy is not going to get there. Robinson seeing it behind. He went for the crossfield pass, too high for Murphy, and Robinson did the defending. Eddie Howe making some notes. With Fulham playing it short from Ream, Newcastle apply the press. Murphy and Longstaff, and Scher makes a challenge from the ball down the line, but De Cordova-Reid's got it. Back to Ream. Fabian Scher then with a header. Isak trying to find the ball in the box. Ream with a big clearance. Isak was making a bit of a nuisance of himself there, and what a ball now from United forwards to find Gordon, but challenged by Diop. Great challenge, and the home team have it. They lift it over halfway. Botman comes across, sees it out for a throw, but he might have been fouled actually by Harrison Reed.
Yes, Darren Khan, the assistant, he's the one that flags for the foul. It is a foul. Just before that, Dan Burn plays a great ball in. Anthony Gordon, good touch. If he gets away from Diop, he's in on goal. Oh, give it a Fulham defender credit. He times the challenge very well.
Newcastle with Trippier just past halfway, looked to play it in behind Robinson, but the Fulham left back got there, concedes a throw, but it's Newcastle's ball in the final third. Ream sharper than Isak there to clear the ball away. Bruno header on, looking for Gordon. Miley and Gordon, still Anthony Gordon. He's caught his opponent late. Lukic close to the edge of the Fulham penalty box, and the home side have a free kick.
Referee Keelan is right in the right spot. Probably does a free kick. That's the first big goal, which is rightly so. The two of them pushing and shoving each other. So just let them get on with it.
Ream, oh, that's given away. Longstaff. Now Murphy, edge of the area. Oh, went for the ball, threaded through for Isak. He played it straight against Ream. Fulham approach halfway. Now they go backwards with Pereira down the left. Final ball just needed to be right, and unfortunately from Murphy it wasn't. Then Bruno's won it for Isak. They've got it again, United. Isak beats his man. Alexander Isak around the keeper, but away and off the pitch, wide of goal. And it's Fulham's ball. It's exciting from Isak on the run. He does it so well. Newcastle forcing another Fulham error and capitalising. He skimmed Ream, just ran out of space.
Yeah, I mean, he's unlucky. I think when he goes past Ream, could he possibly just put it back, just as we're watching it, could he just pull it back then to Bruno? He decides to then go around the goalkeeper, but unfortunately the touch just takes him out of play.
Long Fulham ball forwards down the right wing. Rodrigo Muniz has made a run to that side of the pitch and has got there. Did very well to get there. Newcastle, Fabian Scher and Dan Burn are analysing what happened there. Both a bit frustrated with each other. That Muniz had the chance to run into space. It's a throw 20 yards out. Kenny Tete, the right full-back, brought into the team tonight. One of 7 changes, takes it, volleyed away by Longstaff for Newcastle. It's been a tactical change with Longstaff and Miley switching sides in midfield. Longstaff's now to the right of Bruno, Miley to the left.
Yeah, not too sure what the manager's thinking about there. Saying nothing wrong with it, but just wonder why it was.
Robinson onto De Cordova-Reid in the penalty area. Good cross, and Rodrigo Muniz deflected wide, just wide of Dubravka's left-hand post.
Tell you what, initially that touch, Muniz is a great touch. It's a good block. I think it's from Botman. Yeah, it is from Botman. It's going in as well. I don't think the goalkeeper's getting that because it was on target.
Newcastle under pressure in the 33rd minute. Here's the corner, outswinger, header from United at the near side. It's gone back out, and goal kick is the call from the referee, seemingly rather than the assistant. There is a possibility that Kieran Trippier might need some treatment. Caught by Muniz after they challenged for the ball from the corner, but Trippier is okay.
Yeah, it's, you know, I watched that Muniz when he was at Borough, and I'd seen him a couple of times. I have to be honest with you, I thought he was poor. And tonight, he looks a completely different player.
Steve, I was just about to ask you about him. He looks big and strong, and he's only 21 years of age. Very much one for the future for Fulham. He's not yet a regular starter in their team, but he's been a handful so far for Newcastle.
He's been decent. That's when you sort of said, I was like, Jamie, is that him? Because I wasn't impressed with him at all at Middlesbrough, but he's a handful.
Bruno with a ball that played Dan Burn into trouble, and he's caught a Fulham opponent, and a card could be coming out for Burn here. Wilson down over the top of Burn in the challenge. Did he get a yellow card there?
I didn't see. I'm just looking at. I don't think it did, because I don't think there's any intent. Plus, as well, because Wilson hits the ball, Wilson definitely gets the ball first, but he's never catching it. It's going out for a corner. I think it's going out for a goal kick. So I think the referees looked at the two of those and just thought, yeah, he's slightly late. There was no intention there. Yeah, I don't think he is boot, because you can see Silva moaning there at the fourth official. So I think that's why Gillett, and that's good refereeing for me, because there's no intent there. He's trying to help. Burns trying to help his teammate out because it's a poor pass. Slightly late, but it's not as though the ball was under control when Wilson's nicked it.
Another chance for Fulham from a set piece. They've had a number of corners and a few free kicks close to the penalty area. This is another one, right side, 25 yards out, maybe 10 yards, well, 5 to 10 yards in from the touchline. Gordon near the corner of the box, the only Newcastle player in a wall, if you can call it that. So here comes the ball into the penalty area.
Good header.
And it looks like Dan Burn got a touch on that. It's come out to the near side. Trippier plays it down the line, but it's gone out. De Cordova-Reid picks up the ball, and he's going to leave it for Robinson.
It's another quality delivery. One of those ones the goalkeeper cannot come. Dan Burn, great header, running back to his own goal.
Ream from halfway plays it back to goalkeeper Rodak. 0-0 on BBC Radio Newcastle. The free kick, Steve, came about because Bruno played a pass that didn't have enough on it to reach Dan Burn. Wilson read it. There have been a few moments tonight where Bruno hasn't quite hit his usual high standard. He's either been caught on it, there's been a slight mistake, it's a misplaced pass. He doesn't quite look at his usual level so far in some respects tonight.
6 times he's given the ball away unnecessarily, not being aware, not being quick enough, not having enough pace on it, and that was another situation. He's kind of sold Dan Burn a little bit short there. Dan Burn's kind of then on his heels, so he takes that step back to come forward, and then Wilson's read it and just nicks it, and it puts Newcastle again in a difficult position. So listen, I like Bruno, I really do. I think he's a very, very good player, but sometimes you kind of scratch your head. You're just thinking you need to sharpen up. Players aren't going to allow you to play at your pace, because if you want to play at your pace, we're going to shut you down, we're going to take it off you, and we're going to hurt you.
No play at the moment, 0-0 at Craven Cottage, with Fulham's Harry Wilson receiving more treatment. It's on his shoulder, and it looks like it was when he hit the floor from that challenge from Dan Burn. So he's off the pitch at the moment. They have 10, Newcastle temporarily with an extra man. Kieran Trippier was chatting to a few of his teammates during the break. Newcastle now playing it forwards through Cher. And Fulham on the edge of the penalty area. They've lost it again. Longstaff into the box. Does he want a corner? Yes, on the near right hand side. When they've had it, Steve, around their penalty box on the floor, Newcastle have applied the press, and Fulham have made some errors with some misplaced balls and under pressure from Newcastle, and that may be where they could get some joy tonight.
Well, yeah, I mean, the best chance of the game was to Murphy from that kind of thing.
Short corner rolled back, Trippier with a cross, and a header from Burn looking for Miley. Bruno involved, left-footed shot into the net from Sean Longstaff in the penalty area. Longstaff hammered it across Rodak and inside the goalkeeper's left-hand post, low down. Fulham have had the better of it inside the opening 40 minutes, but Sean Longstaff has given them a lead. It's Fulham 0, Newcastle United 1.
Do you know, as you were saying, you know, it is correct. They've struggled when they've been under pressure at the back, and just this goal, it's bobbling about. Stan Burn at the back post, he heads it. 2 Fulham players go towards it. They don't get it away. The Fulham players are appealing that it's hit off Guimaraes' hand. For me, it's right next to his body. He's literally a foot away. He can't do anything about it. As I said, I think the Fulham players are complaining. I think they're looking at VAR.
We are yet to restart the match. Fulham players, Steve, as you say, are standing next to the referee, and they are making the point.
I'd be surprised if this is not given, because he can't move anywhere, and his arm's at his side. Yes, it is his arm, but where do you want him to put it?
It's not an intentional play from the hand or the arm towards the ball, and it did appear from the rerun of the action we've seen that the hand was in towards the body from Bruno. If it stands, Sean Longstaff's given Newcastle the lead, and that is the state of play. Fulham 0, Newcastle United 1 in the 40th minute. Longstaff the scorer. He got one here in the Premier League last season, and he is the player to break the deadlock tonight. Fulham will feel frustrated, not just with the manner of the goal, but in the way that they've had opportunities from set pieces in particular around Newcastle's box, and a couple of really good chances, and they find themselves behind. Longstaff finishing left-footed away to our right-hand side.
Yeah, I think you have to say the goal's gone against, you know, player really for Fulham, against player for Fulham, because they've been probably the better team. So the run of play's been for Fulham, but just couldn't clear the lines. The only thing I was thinking of is, you know, you hear there can't be a goal scored if it comes off somebody's arm that leads to the goal. I think it would have been so unjust if that was the case, because I just don't know where Bruno can put his arm.
Murphy with a ball inside, but a foul by Bruno. They're in the final third there, Newcastle. It's a free kick given by referee Jared Gillett. The ball was bobbling around a little bit, and it was lifted up, and it did, as you've said, Steve, quite rightly, catch Bruno on the hand, on the arm, but it was against his body. Fulham playing it out from the back straight to a green Newcastle shirt again. They've made rather a habit of that in the first half.
Yeah, they've been poor at that, but the rest of the game's been quite good.
Miley and Botman either side of halfway on the far side. It's infield away from Bruno. Longstaff with it, crowded out, but he's turned away from 3 players and done very well to hold on to possession. Bruno just behind the centre circle to share. 5 yards to his right, forwards onto Bruno, now Isak, Murphy up ahead, Isak with good feet, as you'd expect, and then a pass towards the far side of the pitch. Gordon trying to keep it in, just unable to do so. And that means it's a Fulham free kick with the halfway line for Kenny Tete, a starting point for the throw, lobbed back into his own half, and then Fulham misplaced pass. Newcastle have it once more. Miley looked for Gordon, intercepted, and then deflected out off Miley. Another Fulham throw on halfway. Sasha Lukic to Tim Ream, centre circle. Robinson on the near side. Newcastle lead 1-0. In the 4th round of the FA Cup. But Fulham trying to respond through Wilson, who seems to be okay after receiving treatment from the challenge earlier. Bruno's got it for United, knocks it away from one Fulham player, and then a ball looking for Isak through the middle. Played it off the outside of his right boot. Couldn't find the Swede who made the run.
Yeah, I mean, initially it's a great piece of skill. Hits it one side of the player, runs the other. He's just trying to use his right foot, using the outside of his foot. Can he clip and bend it? Just doesn't get it quite right.
Ream and Robinson, then back to Rodak. On the Far side headed down the line by Tete for Fulham. Byrne can't go forwards, he's having to go back. Wilson's on his shoulder. He's carried it a long way back, Dan Byrne. It's almost into his own corner, then clips it clear. He's done well under a lot of pressure, but Newcastle can't keep hold of the ball from Byrne's pass forwards. Nice layoff around the corner from Muniz to Harrison Reed. Wilson back to Tete. Now the cross comes in looking for Muniz. Heads it back across goal. Dubravka catches and runs with the ball to the far side of the box, then walks back into the centre. That was comfortable enough for the keeper.
Yeah, I mean, if you can see what Muniz is trying to do. He's trying to head it back where it came from. He just couldn't get any power because he's back pedalling and the ball's coming away from goal. He can't get enough on it.
Final minute of the first half on BBC Radio Newcastle. Sean Longstaff with the only goal. He's just played a crossfield ball, Isak, and now Jacob Murphy's been played in. Murphy in the penalty area. Jacob Murphy hits the back of the net, and the flag goes up on the near side from Mark Scholes, the assistant referee. Isak's ball for Murphy, who got away and with a driven shot across the keeper put it in. He is offside.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, it is a clear offside. A shame on his return from injury that he couldn't double their lead and mark his inclusion in the team with a goal. But the assistant referee absolutely spot on. Murphy disallowed. Still Fulham 0, Newcastle 1.
I hate that law. I really do. I just think
flag.
The late flag. They're really good. The assistants are very, very good at their do. Just put it up. I mean, I've seen a couple of times this season where the flag hasn't gone up and you don't know why, because you can see it's a clear offside, but players are allowed to continue. Defenders are then rushing back as hard as they can, making last-ditch tackles, getting injured, goalkeepers getting injured, forwards getting injured. You're good enough, just get your flag up.
That's the voice of Steve Howie on BBC Radio Newcastle. With us for our commentary at Craven Cottage tonight. Isak just for the pass to try and create that goal for Murphy. Dropped in and Murphy went up ahead but went too early, unfortunately. Fulham have made a change in the meantime, and they are attacking down the right hand side, and Trippier's had to concede a corner. Willian, the substitute, the Brazilian 35-year-old, formerly of Chelsea, who's been one of their best players this season, is on. He was on Trippier's shoulder as Tete rolled the ball across the 6-yard box. Trippier put it behind. Willian, lurking dangerously, came on for Harry Wilson, who obviously didn't recover from that knock to his shoulder from the Dan Byrne challenge. So Fulham have made their first change just before the break.
Yeah, that comes from a stupid flick. Just get a hold of it. You're coming into added time and extra time. When the ball comes up to you, get a hold of it. Get a free kick, get a foul, get a throw in, play somebody in. Don't flick it and lose it, and then all of a sudden you're on the back foot, a possible goal at the back post, and then a corner, putting yourself under pressure. So somebody should be screaming at Gordon saying, for goodness sake, get a hold of the ball. Let's see out to half time.
Now Dan Byrne has gone up for a header and he's gone over the top of Rodrigo Muniz and he's landed awkwardly on his back, and that was the type of incident that led to him having a spell out of the team a couple of months ago, but fortunately he's back up and seems to be okay. This is Andreas Pereira driving Fulham forwards to the edge of the Newcastle box. It's a great run. Oh, and the shot was pretty awful. He claps his hands together, grimacing as he watches the ball roll well wide of goal, but a great charge up the pitch. Dragged it well wide of the posts.
What you call a shank. I mean, the drive, the run itself was excellent. He drives in there, pushes forward with pace, with power, with purpose. But I'm looking, and I can understand Trippier in one way. You know, he can't really commit because there's a person just on his outside, so he has to hold his ground. But I think it could be Botman, because it's Shaw that's coming back. He has to step out and engage. He doesn't. He takes that shot from the 18-yard box, but as I said, scuffs it wide.
We're into first half additional time, 3 extra minutes. Fulham tackle at the edge of the area by Botman, and then Trippier back to Dubravka. That really could have gone anywhere. Newcastle very pleased that Botman's challenge saw the ball rebound off a Fulham leg and into the path of Trippier, who found the safety of the goalkeeper. And that's the last bit of action, because the half-time whistle's gone. Sean Longstaff has scored the only goal. Left-footed, angled shot into the bottom corner of the goal. Newcastle lead after 45 minutes, Steve Howie, by a 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, just that last bit of action there. I'm not too sure whether Botman actually needs to go to ground. Can he just still run and just clear his lines, or even just knock it past the player and then keep all possession? But yeah, I mean, I think Fulham would be a little bit disappointed, because I think they've had the upper hand slightly. They've had more possession now. They've been more comfortable. But having said that, Newcastle had the best chance with Murphy. As I said, he hit it straight at the goalkeeper when either side of the goalkeeper would have caused the goalkeeper problems. But they've gotten the goal. Newcastle, as I said, slightly against the run of play. Yeah, there was obviously the VAR check. I don't know whether, of course, VAR have to look at it, but I don't know where Guimaraes is supposed to put his arm, and the fact that he's literally a yard away from when the ball was trying to get cleared. Eddie Howe would be relatively pleased that his team hasn't played particularly well, but ultimately lead 1-0 at half-time.
And the second goal that they could have had from Jacob Murphy, when Isak on the spin played him in. They finished it well enough. Fired it into the bottom corner across the goalkeeper, but he was offside and the flag went up. Fulham have had a threat at one end. Newcastle with the Murphy disallowed goal, a couple of other chances at the other end in the first half, but it's the Sean Longstaff goal that separates the two teams here in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Steve and I will be back soon for the second half from Craven Cottage, live here on BBC Radio Newcastle after 45 minutes. It's Fulham 0, Newcastle United 1.
Imagine discovering that your partner has been lying to you. They're actually an undercover police officer, and their job was to spy on you and your friends.
That level of infiltration is just completely beyond our imagination.
This is the disturbing true story of an officer who was undercover for 7 years.
It's just so shocking that there could be a policeman kind of living in my house, having sex with me.
Undercover, The Spy Cops. Listen now on BBC Sounds.
I lied because it was my job to lie.
Newcastle United lead 1-0 at Fulham at half-time in the fourth round of the FA Cup. Sean Longstaff just before the break will be back with Matthew and Steve very shortly. This is the sixth of all the FA Cup ties today. The first one was an absolute cracker, and it's the shock of the round. Maidstone United 2-1 winners away at Ipswich. 98 places between them in the pyramid. Ipswich second in the Championship. Maidstone fourth in National League South, but they are into the last 16. So too are Luton. They left it very late to win 2-1 at Everton. Collie Woodrow in the final minute of that game. Leeds United and Plymouth are going to a replay because they drew 1-1 today. Leicester City beat Birmingham City 3-0 in an all-championship affair. Jamie Vardy scored his first FA Cup goal for 6 years. He scored the first of those three. And Brighton were comfortable 5-2 winners away at Sheffield United. There was a Joao Pedro hat-trick in there. 2 of those 3 goals came from the penalty spot. In the Championship, Sunderland got themselves back to winning ways by beating Stoke City 3-1 at the Stadium of Light. Maybe that eases a little bit of the pressure on Michael Beale. The immediate build-up to the game, though, dominated by the club's statement at just before 2 o'clock that midfielder Alex Pritchard refused to play today and has asked to leave the club immediately. Well, here is the Black Cats head coach, Michael Beale, speaking to our Sunderland commentator, Nick Barnes.
Michael, that's a big win on a number of levels this afternoon.
Yeah, delighted with the players, delighted for them as well. Like lots of little individual things there, like Mason scoring his first goal, and the work effort of the boys and togetherness behind the scenes. I think it's been a difficult 2 weeks for them with the last 2 or 3 results, and today the effort they put in the game, but the effort they put in every day. As I say, I've been delighted with them, and it was a really good win today.
The build-up, it can't have been helped by the Alex Pritchard news. How difficult has that been over the last 24 hours?
Well, yeah, it's been ongoing, to be honest. It's not been the last 24 hours. Obviously, he's a boy that's been out of contract and he's been offered one, and I just think mentally, you know, it's got too much for him. But let's keep the focus on the boys that played today. I think that's really important. You know, it's a wonderful football club to play for. It's a lot of expectation, and the boys went out today and delivered a good result. So let's keep it there. The club made a statement, and I'm sure in the coming days, with the window coming to the end, there'll be more to be said on that.
Important that you got the first goal this afternoon.
Yeah, really important, because it was actually quite an open game. I thought both teams went for it. Both teams felt they could win the game. We had a couple of big chances with Jack and maybe Pierre or Abdullah early in the game, where maybe we could have done better. It's fair to say they had one or two as well. As I say, I'm delighted for Mason. Like, he's a boy that I've only known obviously for a month, but it's been difficult for him. You know, first big loan, if you like, and the expectation. And although he played earlier in the season in a team that was winning games, for him personally as a striker, he's obviously felt the weight of that. But he stays out every day working on his finishing. He's been desperate for an opportunity, and I thought today his all-round work effort for the team was fantastic.
That is Michael Beale there talking to Nick Barnes. Sunderland now have 8 days before they face Middlesbrough at the Riverside next Sunday lunchtime. In non-league today, Gateshead came from behind to beat Barnet, third place Barnet in the National League for the second time this season. Luke Hannant with a terrific volley on the hour mark, and then Kane Adam on his debut for Gateshead, scoring the winner 10 minutes from the end. The Gateshead manager is the former Newcastle goalkeeper Rob Elliott, and I had a chat with him after the game about just how pleased he was.
I think the result probably was better than the performance in terms of the football, but I think the endeavour and the desire from the lads was the thing that I was most pleased with, considering the huge turnaround we've had and sort of what a tough 4 weeks it's been with the amount of players we've lost. So no, I'm really proud of the lads tonight.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that, because it's still, the turnover is significant. And do you hope that's the end of the player turnover? As in, you don't want to lose anyone else, but also you're satisfied that you don't need to bring anyone else in? What kind of stage are you at with that?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the end of it, because unfortunately we've had to go over budget in terms of being able just to get a team out with the injuries and the players we've lost. So look, there's going to be movement, but let's just hope it's more within our control, to be brutally honest, that we're able to control the movement ourselves. And if there are players that can strengthen us, then great. But what was nice today is the three lads that come off the bench, impacted the game massively. And obviously with Kane getting the winner, Kane Adom's going to be a fantastic player for us going forward. But it was just nice to see, to be honest, the mentality of the overall group and the new lads coming in.
Yeah, and a big 3 points for them this afternoon as well. No points for either Blythe Spartans or South Shields in National League North, though both lost 2-1 at home. Blythe lost to Warrington, Shields lost to Boston United. In the NPL Premier Division, Morpeth beaten heavily by a good Hyde United side, 5-1, the final score there. In the East Division, it was Dunstan 0, Stockton Town 0. That is now 8 unbeaten for Dunstan. It's a good point under the circumstances. Concert are back in the playoff places. They won 3-1 at Cleethorpes. Ashington, though, lost 3-1 at home to Sheffield. Wilson Neeshaw with their consolation. Hebburn beaten as well on the road at North Ferriby. In the Scottish Lowland League, Berwick Rangers 4-0 winners over Broom Hill. A couple in there for Liam Buchanan. They scored all 4 of their goals in the space of 15 minutes in the second half. And Sunderland women have gone back top of the championship table. Their 2-0 win at Blackburn Rovers today came virtue of goals from Katie Kitching and Emily Scarr in the second half. Durham women have announced a new signing this evening as well, who goes straight into their squad for tomorrow's game against Watford. Olivia Bramley joins from West Adelaide United in Australia, but she is originally from the Midlands. She is a defensive midfielder. Durham's game tomorrow kicks off at midday, and at 2 o'clock Newcastle United are in the National League Cup quarter-finals against Fylde at 2 o'clock. No dream consecutive victory, second consecutive victory for the Newcastle Falcons today after their European Challenge Cup win at Perpignan last weekend, but admittedly today they were playing away at the Premiership leaders Northampton. The Saints won by 38 points to 13. The only Falcons try was scored by Adam Radwan. Louis Johnson scored all their other points from the boot. And the interim head coach Mickey Ward spoke to our own rugby union commentator Dean Gray afterwards.
Mickey, that's a game that there's a lot of positives you can take from, but ultimately the scoreline doesn't lie.
Oh, you're right, it doesn't. I mean, the disappointing thing is 45 minutes in, there's 6 points in it. And even in that first half, we've probably had a couple of tries away. We've made a couple of little mistakes and we've let them off the hook a few times in that first half. And I think we should have probably went in at half time ahead, in my opinion. We've came out after half time, first 5 or 6 minutes, we've been right in it, sticking the task. And then they've just slightly got away from it. We've had a lot of entries into the 22. we've had one held up over the line, we've went off on our own agenda on another, and we haven't been clinical in there, whereas they get a chance to score, and then the game's slightly different. You know, it goes from being a 6-point game, then you're into a 13-point game, then they get ahead again, and it's we've got a different mindset there. We sometimes start chasing it a little bit, we go off script, we'll lose a couple of simple balls and stuff like that, and then it's hard to recover. I said that to a few people beforehand. Obviously, when you're here, once they get away and the crowd gets behind them and they start getting little offloads and stuff, it's a tough day. So that, as I say, that first 45 minutes, I was pretty pleased with what we done in that first 45 minutes. It's just that last 35 where we've got to make sure we don't go off script and we stick to task.
And Steve Diamond arriving, I think, on Monday, isn't he? So he's going to have, I would imagine, an immediate impact upon the club and the way that you look at things and what you do. What are you expecting Steve to bring?
Yeah, well, I think, everyone who knows Steve knows what he's all about. You know, he doesn't mess about. He's not that elaborate in what he wants to do, especially not at the start. Anyway, I think he wants to get a nice simple game plan in place. You know, build a good foundation and just work through that. And then, as we start progressing, then things will no doubt become a little bit more elaborate and a little bit more expansive. But just get first things first. You know, build the foundations and just move on from there.
And a long break between this game and the next sort of meaningful game almost. I know there's the friendly against Sale, the Edinburgh game's been cancelled, which was going to happen because of injuries and call up to the Edinburgh squad. So that 5 weeks is pretty ideal preparation time for the next game at Exeter. So another big challenge there in terms of looking at what you do and the way you do it.
I think it couldn't have came at a better time for us. Obviously, good break, draw a line under the first bit of the season or the majority of the season. We've got a new guy coming in, obviously a new director who'll be coming in. Everything's fresh, and I've just said that to the players. I was like, look, get yourself away for a week, but this is a fresh start. It's been like first day back at work, isn't it? Really, first day in a new job. You've got a new guy there. We've got to impress. So I don't think it could have came at a better time.
And your last game as interim head coach, have you enjoyed it? 50-50 record. Have you enjoyed the 2 games you've been in charge, Mickey?
Well, I should have resigned before the game, shouldn't I, with a 100% record? But no, it's been, to be fair, it's been good. I've enjoyed it. The lads have been awesome. The lads have been spot on. They've bought in everything we've tried to do. I've had great support from Tom and Scotty from a coaching point of view, and obviously everybody behind the scenes has had a massive support. Dimes was on the phone this morning again, adding a bit of support, and it's been great. I've enjoyed it.
Good. Glad to hear it. Mickey Ward, a proper Newcastle Falcons legend, the interim head coach there, talking to Dean Gray after their defeat at Northampton this afternoon. It was a tough afternoon for Newcastle Thunder as well. Their rugby league season got underway in the group stages of the 1895 Cup. They scored the first and the last tries of the match, but that is no consolation whatsoever when you lose by 114 points to 10, which is what happened against York Knights this afternoon. In basketball's WBBL, Durham Palatinate beaten 75-62 at home by Leicester Riders today. On the other side of the world, a century from Ollie Pope has given England's cricketers a chance in the first test against India in Hyderabad. He is still unbeaten on 148. England closed day 3 on 316 for 6 in their second innings and have a lead of 126. Luke Littler, darts sensation, has got an element of revenge over Luke Humphreys, who beat him in the World Championship final earlier this month, because the 17-year-old won their Dutch Masters quarter-final by 6 legs to 5 earlier on this evening, and he will face the 2021 World Champion Gerwyn Price in their semi-final, which gets underway in about 10 minutes' time. And it's the men's singles final of the Australian Open tennis tomorrow morning. Russia's Daniil Medvedev against Italy's Yannick Sinner, who makes his Grand Slam final debut. There is live commentary from 8:25 tomorrow morning on Radio 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. Today, Aryna Sabalenka successfully defended her women's singles title. She beat Jung Shin-wen 6-3, 6-2. And although Britain's Alfie Hewitt lost 6-2, 6-4 in the men's wheelchair final to Japan's Tokito Oda, he and his partner Gordon Reid did win their 5th Australian Open men's doubles title. But we are going back to Craven Cottage, second half commentary of Newcastle United at Fulham in the FA Cup 4th round. The Magpies lead by a 1-0. Steve Howie and Matthew Racebeck back in just a tick.
Half-time highlights.
Total Sport North East.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
And a header from Byrne looking for Miley. Bruno involved. Left-footed shot into the net. Into the net from Sean Longstaff in the penalty area. Longstaff hammered it across Roddick and inside the goalkeeper's left-hand post, low down. Fulham have had the better of it inside the opening 40 minutes, but Sean Longstaff has given them a lead. It's Fulham 0, Newcastle United 1.
Total Sport North East.
The FA Cup.
BBC Radio Newcastle.
1-0 after 45 minutes in the FA Cup. The teams are in position, ready for the second half. Newcastle in the green away kit with white shorts and socks. Fulham, white shirts, black shorts and socks. And it's going to be the home team to get the match restarted. Newcastle shooting towards the left as we look, where the 3,800 away fans are being housed tonight on the banks of the River Thames in West London. And Jarrett Gillett's whistle blows us underway here on BBC Radio Newcastle and also on the BBC Sounds app. Sean Longstaff, the scorer of Newcastle's only goal, he's back out there with the other 10 players that began the match. No changes at half-time for either team. Dubravka in goal, Trippier, Cher, Botman, Byrne, Miley, Bruno, Longstaff, Murphy, Gordon and Isak is the Magpies 11. On the bench, Karius, Dummett, Ritchie, Kraft, Hall, Livramento, Parkinson, Alex Murphy and teenage midfielder Travis Hearns. Harrison Reed for Fulham with a low cross from the right. Newcastle through Dan Byrne with a clearance up to halfway. Isak put his right leg up to try and take it down but couldn't reach it, and Fulham have it on the far side of the pitch. It's Marek Rodak in goal, Kenny Tete, Tim Ream, Issa Diop, Anthony Robinson in defence, Sasha Lukic and Harrison Reed in midfield, Andreas Pereira, Willian, Bobby De Cordova-Reid and Rodrigo Muniz, the home side. De Cordova-Reid's won a corner with a cross that was fired in hard against Anthony Gordon and then smacked off the advertising board. It's on the near right hand side for Andreas Pereira to deliver.
Fulham started quite brightly. They want to try and get something back, get back into this game as early as they possibly can.
Pereira outswinger towards the penalty spot and a header from Bruno. Newcastle tried to clear their lines, but it's back with Pereira on the right wing, close to the touchline. He will roll the ball towards Robinson, who's nearer to halfway than the box. Now De Cordova-Reid for Harrison Reed. And his pass across the pitch is controlled by Diop. Now Ream. Newcastle have been able to push right up and get everybody out of the penalty box and get their shape back, really, with everyone where they should be. So Fulham didn't make the most of that opportunity from the corner. Here's Willian, who came on for the injured Harry Wilson shortly before half-time. Newcastle 1-0 up in the 3rd minute of the second half. Robinson looking for De Cordova-Reid. Chance to deliver the cross, he's offside. But what a hit from Willian anyway. When the ball reached the middle, Willian wrapped his right boot around it and bent it beyond Dubravka. Great technique, but Bobby De Cordova-Reid was offside.
Yeah, again, slightly offside. Good call by the referee, but wow, what a finish by Willian. Gives the goalkeeper absolutely no chance. That's a warning.
He's got some ability, hasn't he, Willian? Still playing, still so important to Fulham. He's got 5 goals this season, which is the most of anyone for Fulham, along with De Cordova-Reid and Raul Jimenez, who's on the bench. They all have 5 each. What do you think Eddie Howe will have given to his players, Steve, as a message at half-time?
Just try not to be as sloppy on the ball. Just try not to give it away so cheaply. So I thought they did that quite a few times, caused their own problems.
Bruno had the ball under pressure at halfway, played it back to Murphy on the touchline. Then Bruno's got involved again in a more central position. Cher back to Dubravka, closed down by a couple of Fulham players. Cher on the right touchline now from Dubravka's ball. It's Isak who, facing his own goal, passes it back to Fabian Cher, and with his yellow boots he rolls it across the pitch to Byrne, back to Botman. Fulham applying the pressure. Miley takes it. Byrne now to Bruno, then Miley trying to get away. Tete's made the challenge, and Fulham bring the ball into central midfield. Newcastle unable to keep the ball. Pereira, Robinson on the left, the ball into the box, intercepted by Longstaff and then cleared by Cher. Might have tackled his own teammate there. It's a throw for Fulham.
Well, he possibly might have, but ultimately it's about getting the ball away, which he did do.
Sasha Lukic is down. Fulham may need to bring on a member of their medical team. Lukic looked like he was pointing towards his left knee. The match has been paused. Two members of the Fulham staff from the bench on the far side come sprinting across to the near side of the pitch. Newcastle lead 1-0 in the 51st minute, and Fulham have already lost one player to injury, have a concern over another.
Yeah, I'm not too sure whether he's getting a stone or a bit of a boot in his knee. Just close up there, doesn't look as though there's any marking on his knee. But just getting back to the actual start of the second half, certainly Fulham the brighter of the two teams. Probably not the start the manager wanted from his team, but at the same time would have possibly expected. He knows for a fact they'll be coming out.
It was as he made a challenge on Lewis Miley a few moments ago.
Lewis Miley stood on the like, he's lifting his toe off the ground, and as he does that, he actually slides into his stud. Yeah, they don't tickle them, but not too sure I'll be down for that long, like. But there you go.
It's just having the wound treated. Sasha Lukic.
He's lost a tiny bit of skin.
A flesh wound from the contact from Lewis Miley's boot. He's still receiving treatment, but should be able to continue. I don't think they are getting anybody ready to come on. That could always change depending on what the medical staff say to the bench as they communicate with Marco Silva and his team on the far side. Lukic is on his feet. He's gone over to the touchline. The referee is speaking to the medical staff, and Fulham have 10 players again. But it's going to be their throw-in on the left side, about level with the edge of Newcastle's box, to resume play. And Anthony Robinson with a white, blue and red ball gets us going again. Lukic still being treated. Pitch side, then a through ball which Bobby De Cordova-Reid has dummied. Kenny Tete into the area looking for Muniz in the middle. Fabian Cher across to clear the danger.
Yeah, Burn does well. Slides, just takes the pace off the ball, and then Shaw comes across, reads it very well.
Whistle's gone from Jared Gillett, Steve, because he's coming over to the touchline. I think is he wanting the staff to move Lukic? Because
they have to move him a bit further back. They're right on the byline. Just obviously, if there's an attack either for Fulham or Newcastle, they're far too close to the touchline itself. It can be dangerous for Lukic and whichever player it is that's running towards him.
After Cher cleared the danger, Fulham have a throw, and it's Tete with pass down the line towards De Cordova-Reid on the goal line. Tete then away from a couple of challenges from a return ball, and he's won a corner, warmly applauded by the Fulham fans. I mentioned earlier that quite a few home supporters are staying away, and there are a lot of empty seats, particularly in the corner areas and on the stand on the far side, the new stand. Here's the corner kick, which is headed away by Newcastle, but a crowd of 18,960 in Craven Cottage tonight as Fabian Cher heads away. Another Fulham cross. Gordon on towards Murphy. Fulham have it back. Now Isak to Gordon. Too much on the ball and too far ahead of Murphy, and Robinson, the covering player, regains possession of the ball for the home team. And Newcastle, who've not really been in the Fulham half at all in the 9 minutes that we've had in the second half, Steve Howard.
Oh, not at all. I mean, again, it has pretty much been all Fulham, and then when Newcastle have had the ball, they give it away quickly and cheaply.
Tete's cross from the right. A lot of power on that, and too much for Willian. Swung back around for a throw rather than goal kick. Trippier in the corner has the ball. Eddie Howe off the bench, standing alone in the technical area with his arms folded. Trippier, who is captaining Newcastle, and they have a 1-0 lead tonight through Sean Longstaff's first half goal down the line. Bruno with a challenge, then a forward pass which Fulham intercept, and then they try and switch it to the near side, but it's out of play. Dan Burns given the ball by one of the Fulham ball boys in a pink bib, pitch side. And now it's with Lewis Miley back into his penalty box to Share, who can see it all, looking up the pitch. It's Trippier onto Murphy. Lovely take by Murphy, but then it just got away from him. He was side on, tried to just carry it into the space. Fulham have it through Tete. Loves to attack from fullback, Kenny Tete. Pushed up, pushed on a lot in the second half. Pereira, Lukic is back on the pitch and would appear to be all right after that treatment to his knee. The ball on the floor in the middle of midfield, moved forwards to De Cordova-Reid. Now Harrison Reid, Tete on the outside. That's where it goes from the goal line into the centre of the 6-yard box, straight to Dubravka. Fulham fans rather than players appealing for a handball.
Yeah, we're just looking at the replay here. Dan Burns coming to close him down. Oh my lord, I can't believe they're even asking for that. That's embarrassing.
It's hit him in the stomach, hasn't it?
His arm is across his body and it hits him on his arm across his body. There's absolutely no chance.
Forwards to Isak on the right side in the final third. Fulham have won it back and then they play it to De Cordova-Reid, driving forwards down the right wing, and then an overhit pass down the line for Tete, goal kick.
Yeah, the problem that Newcastle have got is, yes, they're under pressure, but when they are winning the ball back, they're either giving it away cheaply or they're looking up and they can't see anybody. Isak could be up there on his own. Sometimes he's already back defending. When the ball goes up, it's just coming straight back. It's biting pressure. It's a difficult one.
Murphy had the ball, tried to play it back. Fulham have won it again. When they've had it in the second half, Newcastle, they've barely been able to keep it for more than a couple of passes, and it's keeping the pressure on really with Fulham recovering possession and then trying to attack the United goal to the right hand side. 58 minutes though, and still the only goal scored by Sean Longstaff for Newcastle in the first half. Ream switches the play. Most of it's come down this near side, the Fulham right in the second period. De Cordova-Reid to Pereira. Muniz playing it back, but he's given it away. And Murphy, Isak available. It's behind Isak, but he's got it on the left wing. Gordon for support, and Murphy on the far side. Isak cuts inside, might have a go. Oh, and the keeper got down low in the 6-yard box. Got plenty behind it, Isak. So did Rodak to make the save.
Yeah, he does well. I like Isak when he does that. You know, he can go either side, but this time on the left-hand side, he cuts in with his right foot, hits it really well. Again, just unfortunate. It's at the goalkeeper. It's moving, the ball. Goalkeeper does well. He doesn't let it spill, but it's a good effort.
First goal scoring opportunity Newcastle have had in the second half. Live on BBC Radio Newcastle tonight in the 4th round of the FA Cup. More defending to be done now as Fulham pressing for an equaliser. Roll it down the line from Tete to De Cordova-Reid into the area. Harrison Reid tries to find Muniz in the middle. It's blocked by Sven Botman. Forwards towards Gordon on halfway, but won back by the home side, and their fans are believing. They really are having a decent spell as we approach the hour mark. Anthony Robinson on the outside of Trippier has to turn and come back towards Willian, 25 yards out. Rolls in Robinson again, a high cross. Harrison Reid pulls it down at the back of the area. Tete's tried to curl one, tried to sneak one in to the near top corner around Newcastle defenders, but it's too high.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what he's trying to do. It's a tough ask. It's a tough one to do, but just a chance before, I think it's Harrison Reed. The ball comes, I'm thinking that the chance you've got is hit it first time. He doesn't, he takes a touch. That allows the defenders to come across to block him out. Slightly low opening there for Fulham, didn't take it.
Lewis Miley, the recipient of a ball into the centre of midfield. Great first touch from Miley to pull it down, and then the pass to Gordon. This is Bruno to the left of the centre circle. Aims the ball out towards Murphy, and Trippier with him in this attack. Newcastle in the Fulham penalty area. It's Longstaff, and it's behind for a corner. Their first of the second half. Sean Longstaff with the darting run into space in the penalty box, right side, and it's behind off a Fulham defender.
Yeah, good bit of play. First of all, ball into Miley, takes a really good touch, kills it dead, plays it out wide, which then comes into Guimaraes, who plays it out wide to Murphy, then into Longstaff. Now it's a corner with Trippier on it. Can he whip in a great ball?
Right-footed outswinger from Trippier.
Yeah.
Sven Botman spilled and put into the back of the net. And big Dan Burn has scored against his former club. And Newcastle have extended their lead in the FA Cup. Brilliant celebrations right in front of the away end. Botman's header down, pushed out by Rodak, straight to the big man, who has his 4th goal of the season. And in the 61st minute, it's Fulham 0, Newcastle United 2.
Well, it's a great goal. It's a wonderful ball in from Trippier. Whips it in, it comes towards the goalkeeper and then away from him. Botman with a superb header. In all fairness, goalkeeper makes a great save. But there he's there, the poacher, Dan Burn, smashing it in. But you have to say again, Razor, problems against the run of play. Fulham's been all Fulham.
Dan Burn almost on the goal line. Gave it a proper whack into the back of the net, and for the second time this season he scores against Fulham, where he had 5 years at the start of his career. And Burn gives Newcastle what is a comfortable looking lead, but Steve Howie was just saying the direction of play in the second half, Fulham are rather unfortunate to be 2 goals behind, but what a great position for Eddie Howe and his players to be in as they look to make progress in the FA Cup and win an FA Cup 4th round tie at the first time of asking, for the first time in 18 years.
As I said, I think Fulham, yes, they have had the vast majority of ball, and it has been against the run of play, but really have they created any clear-cut chances? No. So, you know, fair play at Newcastle. You know, they defended well, basically done a counter-attack, scored a very good goal.
Back it goes to Rodak. Robinson left wing, but in Fulham's half. Plenty of volume from the away end. It's looking good with 63 minutes on the clock. Fulham are going to bring on another substitute. Gordon wins the ball back for Newcastle. Bruno with a chance to play it towards Murphy, but it's won back by the home side. De Cordova-Reid now towards the corner on this near side of the pitch. Harrison Reed's cross is headed out by Botman to Sasha Lukic. He wanted to shoot but was closed down, so Newcastle will just reorganise, and Fulham keep possession wide on the left. So dry but chilly night here, 4 degrees. The ball is played in, it's pretty still though, and Newcastle are not having to deal with any particularly bad conditions as the ball was hung up into the box. Went behind. Fulham are making another change, and it is Andreas Pereira replaced by Tom Cairn. He's been a big player for Fulham for a number of years.
Good player.
He comes on and so it's just going to be a straight swap, Steve, playing behind Rodrigo Muniz, who was dangerous in the first half. Muniz, we haven't seen much of him in the second.
No, not at all, but I like Kearney, been here a long time. He's captain as well, club captain really. See what he can do. We'll be hoping to change things for Fulham. As I said, they've had a lot of possession. Have they really had any major clear-cut chances? You'd have to see it. No, apart from the first half, when Dubravka pulled a very good save off Muniz. Apart from that, half chances.
Burn to Gordon, tried to flick it onto Miley, it's stopped by Tete. And now Tete gets the ball from Decordova-Reid. Burn sliding in, has seen it out. I think it's is it a throw or a corner? It looks like it might be a throw. Right next to the corner flag.
Do you know what? If I'm Dan Burn there, I am absolutely ripping in to Gordon. He's played him a nice ball in there. We're 2-0 up. Get a hold of it. Stop those stupid flicks that don't come off that often.
BBC Radio Newcastle with United 2-0 up through Longstaff and Burn. Harrison Reed, Kenny Tete, wide on the right to the edge of the penalty area, and Bobby Decordova-Reid is taking it on and away from Miley. Dangerous cross to the far post, away by Newcastle. Ream edge of the box, he's going to have a try, and it's a comfortable save low down for Dubravka, centre of the goal.
Yeah, I think Nunez does really well initially, takes a good touch, then protects it really well. Plays it wide, gets in the box, he's jumping for the ball, kind of exaggerates being pushed. Oh, that's a good touch by Miley.
Now Gordon looking interested, Isak there as well. Fulham got to defend, and Tete, who's done most of his work in the second half at the other end, wins Fulham a throw in the right back position as Newcastle look to get in down this near side, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're in good position, Newcastle, obviously, with Isak and Gordon. It's just the ball's not quite there. If it was, it would have caused more problems for Fulham. They could have capitalised and really put the game to bed.
They have the ball through Sven Botman, hooking it, helping it back to Cher. Muniz on his shoulder, the centre forward with short sleeves and gloves. Dubravka's ball out to Burn, kept in with a header by Burn on the line. Midway through the second half, they lead it 2-0. Longstaff and Bruno, nice passing in midfield. Now Miley away for Gordon to chase. Here is Anthony Gordon trying to break into the box. Couple of step overs on the outside of Tete. Gordon across the face of goal. Too high for anyone to get a touch. At one point it looked like that might just find its way into the top corner, but it bent back away from Rodak's goal, and it's a throw on the far side.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon does really well. He basically twists Tete inside and out. Just that final pass, a little bit composure. Fortunately not there.
Bobby Decordova-Reid, who hasn't given up for Fulham, and he's one of perhaps the most likely sources of something in their team. Harrison Reed is currently in the wide right position. Tom Kearney slipped but managed to play a ball around the corner to Anthony Robinson when Newcastle were trying to steal it in midfield. It's going to be another Fulham change. Eddie Howe yet to look to the bench tonight for a substitution. Willian given away to Bruno Guimaraes, edge of the area. Now Gordon takes it past his man. It's 2-on-2. Isak to the right. Gordon might go it alone on the outside of Diop. Gordon tackled by Diop. Newcastle have a corner.
Do you know what? I'm not going to criticise him for that. In all fairness, yes, he did have the option of playing Isak in, but you've got to have faith in your own ability and your own pace. He goes to play to Isak, brings it around himself, plays it. I have to be honest, but Diop, you know, he's big, he's strong, he's quick, covers the ground really well. slides in, good challenge. No, I wouldn't have a go at Gordon for that. I mean, I have done a couple of times for these silly flicks. But, yeah, you know, sometimes you've just got to take responsibility and use your teammate as a decoy, which he did do. It's just unfortunate. It was good defending.
Kieran Trippier, corner from the Newcastle left towards the near post, away by the first Fulham defenders. Gordon retrieves it, Longstaff on the inside, they're close to halfway. Gordon's driven it at an angle towards the far side of the pitch. Fulham headed on, and Tom Kearney takes them up the pitch, but Longstaff slides in on Willian, and out it goes for a throw. Well defended by Longstaff. Didn't make the most of that, United. Now there's a player down in green for Newcastle in midfield. I think it's Longstaff. Got one of those beams, those pillars, keeping the stand up, keeping the roof up in the way. It is Longstaff, but he's on 2 feet. So Raul Jimenez for Fulham in a double change is on for Bobby De Cordova-Reid. The Mexican forward sent off at St James's Park in the Premier League last month after about 20 minutes, and it definitely helped to change the course of the match and turn it in Newcastle's favour. Jimenez on in attack, and Harrison Reed has been replaced by the very good and player wanted by a number of top clubs, reportedly, João Palhinha. Here are Fulham, and here's a cross from the far side, but Newcastle get it away, and Lewis Miley with Gordon up ahead into the Fulham half on the near side. Isak in the middle. Gordon drifts in off the left touchline, keeps possession just about, plays it off Lukic, and back to Byrne. Miley gliding across the turf. Bruno has it and sweeps it across to Cher. 72nd minute. Fulham 0, Newcastle 2. Remember, Total Sport back on Monday with a reaction to this one. Sunderland's win, and chance to have your say on both clubs. North East Only Football phone in Monday to Friday 6 till 8. All the latest from Stadium of Light and St James's Park, and you can also listen anytime and catch up on any episodes you've missed on BBC Sound. Search for Total Sport North East. There is a ball that is going to be for a Fulham free kick just past the halfway line, as Jason Tyndall goes for a word with Eddie Howe in the technical area. Is there any reason, Steve Howe, to change and maybe freshen up? It looks like Tino Livramento could be coming on, and Jacob Murphy, just back from injury, might be the player who could come off perhaps.
Yeah, I think you could play him in his position. As I mentioned that just before the game. I think looking at this, I mean, you're looking at mental space as well, and how he likes to get forward. I think the longer the game goes on and the less time there is, you can see Fulham taking chances, leaving the back door open a little bit, and I think his pace could utilise that.
Well, good Fulham football down the left involving Anthony Robinson and now Willian, and a high cross to the back post. Dan Byrne gets his head to the ball, flicks it out towards the corner. Raul Jimenez bringing it back and away from the goal line and into a more central position at the edge of the box. It's out wide with Tete. Gordon forces him to play it back, and here are Fulham, who've also brought on Tosin Adarabioyo for Issa Diop. They've made a whole host of changes in the match. I mean, they made 7, Steve, at the start of the night, and they brought some of their big boys on, but they've done much of it. Willian came on in the first half because of an injury. Much of it when they are chasing the game, either 1 or 2-0 down.
Yeah, as I said, it could be a decision that bites the Fulham manager in the backside. Let's hope it does. But I'm pretty sure the Fulham fans, when they look at it, they'll be thinking, well, why haven't we played the big boys from the start? You know, we've just gone out of the Carabao Cup against Liverpool in the semi-final. We want a cup run. Of course, to go out, this is all really they've got, the Premier League. So I was pretty surprised.
Newcastle substitution is Jacob Murphy off and Tino Livramento on. 15 minutes to play. Murphy, who's had a goal disallowed tonight, applauds the away fans. Great to have him back. Livramento too, he was ill when they played Manchester City, and having lost Almiron to illness, no Lascelles tonight. It's 2 out and 2 back for them, but Murphy's going to continue to be an important player.
Yeah, I think the lad that's just come on as well, I think he is for many years. I do rate him very, very highly. Very impressed with him every time I've seen him play.
And Livramento has done well for Newcastle at left back, at right back. He's played right wing, and now he's playing left wing. They can seemingly put him everywhere. Tino Livramento. Gordon's gone to the right side of the attack. Isak remains in the middle. There are now 76 minutes on the clock, and Newcastle still have their 2-0 lead at Craven Cottage. Tom Kearney rolled into the path of Robinson. It's back to Kearney, wide on the Fulham left. Palinia would like it played into the centre. It doesn't come. It's back instead to Ream. And it's possession for Fulham, slow possession. Newcastle seemingly set defensively. Isak closing down Ream on the ball near to the halfway line. Wide to Willian. As well as his time at Chelsea, played for Arsenal in England, then went back to Brazil before he's moved to Fulham a year and a half ago. Tete lifts it into the middle of the 6-yard box and headed over. Dubravka came off his line and Raul Jimenez got there but missed the target.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the goalkeeper. I'm going to watch the replay, but I think it is a case of he's coming, he's not coming. I think he should come. Knock the defender out of the way, just clear everything. He doesn't. You can see Botman looking at him thinking, what are you doing? You know, I'm running towards the goal. It's easier for you to come and attack the ball.
That's a big chance for Fulham.
Yeah.
Burn down the line to Livramento. One back by Tete. Kearney, left side. In United's half, Willian with a through ball. Raul Jimenez in the area, running out of space and coming across on the slide was the scorer of Newcastle's second goal tonight, Dan Burn, to make sure Jimenez didn't get a shot away. It's a throw-in, which is played back to Palinia. Willian wide to Tete, forced back, and now tossing. Once of Manchester City. He's out of contract in the summer. Tossin been linked with a lot of top clubs on a free. Tete across from the right side, another good ball in, and this time into the side netting on the follow-up from Robinson, but the cross just flashed across the box, and Raul Jimenez seemingly a whisker away from connecting.
I think he thinks Botman's going to get it, and he misses it. So he doesn't obviously, unless he gets the slightest of touches. I think it just puts him off. And there's a shot from Robinson, great connection, just the wrong side of the post. And if Fulham get a goal now, it'll certainly be interesting.
Newcastle throw, left full-back position from a ball down the line after a short pass out from the goal kick. They are 2-0 up, live on BBC Radio Newcastle, and the former Newcastle and England international Steve Howie is with us on BBC Radio Newcastle tonight. Burn, good ball, Longstaff, got space.
Oh, he was in.
Left side of midfield. Livramento took it, then a pass from Longstaff. Livramento might be away into the penalty area, closed down by Ream. Livramento with a pass into the centre towards Gordon, and Fulham scramble it clear out for a throw.
Yeah, initially it's Livramento who has the ball, but it's Isak that just is kind of trying to hold his line, but he's in. If he just plays it just in that space, he's in. He doesn't, because he thinks it might be offside, so he then passes the ball off, and he's the one that's actually getting played in. He's looking across because he's just been forced wide. The Fulham captain comes across. He's just thinking, I'll just get it into the box. Can I get it in the box? He does, but unfortunately Gordon's too far away from it. to make it count.
It's a corner actually from the clearance. Trippier to the near post. Bruno tried to flick it. It's brought away by Lukic. Miley, terrific, and then Trippier keeps it in and wins a throw. That's really good Newcastle play.
Yeah, they're coming back. Doug's coming back together as a team, hunting in packs, which the two of them did there, and won the ball back. Excellent play.
Referee is telling Dan Burn to wait. There might have been a shout for handball possibly from that corner. There were some appeals, or are they looking at a challenge maybe from Miley, were they?
Oh, he missed him.
Barely touched him.
The studs was up. I think the young lad's got to be careful.
They've taken the throw down the line by Burn, away by Fulham. Burn with a header on. João Palhinha with a forward pass. It was more of a clearance really. Helped forwards. Cher and Trippier. Dubravka is in possession now. A couple of touches at the edge of the area. We're into the final 10 minutes. Fulham were FA Cup quarter-finalists last season. Newcastle have a 2-0 lead and might be sending them out tonight. Isak just couldn't take the long ball forwards at the edge of the area. A really good pick out. His touch just wasn't what it needed to be. And then Ream turns away from Gordon. Brings Fulham towards halfway. Passes it to Robinson. Newcastle half of the field. Dan Burn plants a header on the ball. Livramento takes a touch and then can't get a second one. Fulham have it back. Sasa Lukic sprinting into central midfield from the right wing, dropping it off at the feet of Tom Kearney, left side. Down the wing to Willian. Every Newcastle player bar Isak is back in a defensive position. Trippier with a back heel to clear it. Cher to Bruno, to Gordon in a wide position. Bruno forwards, Isak's got there, and now they can go. They can move with Miley and Livramento in the middle of the Fulham half. Burn going beyond. Livramento gives it to Miley, can't go forwards. Chased by Palhinha. It's Livramento on it again. Back towards halfway. It's out of Jimenez. Botman with a throw. They won 1-0 at home against Rotherham in round 3. Fulham. Same weekend, Newcastle were successful at Sunderland in the derby. They actually haven't, Newcastle, beaten a Premier League team in the FA Cup for 12 years. And they've lost their last 7 FA Cup ties against other Premier League teams. They are less than 10 minutes plus additional time, so a bit more than 10 minutes probably away from triumphing in an all Premier League Cup encounter. BBC Radio Newcastle 2-0 up. They've had a free kick near halfway and now move forwards to Bruno. And
so what he's saying there, he's seen something maybe you haven't.
He's played the ball into the box, but it was into the hands of Rodak. It wasn't powerful enough to be a shot, but it was overhit if it was a pass. The ball from Bruno there.
I don't understand what he was trying to do. He fired it in.
Tete. Ball bounces onto his chest and he carries his run down the right wing. Wins a corner off Livramento in the 84th minute. No further activity on the Newcastle bench. In the away end is a certain Alan Shearer, who is being serenaded. Seems to be there with his family. Getting some of the classic chants from the away supporters as Fulham take the corner and Dan Burn heads clear. I think Shearer, having been spotted, is probably going to have to...
he might have to move.
Well, he's going to enjoy having his name sung again for the remainder of the match. Tete with a low cross, stopped by Bruno. Down the line for Isak, won't get there. Robinson across. Isak makes an attempt at a tackle. almost won it back. But Kearney in the centre of Newcastle's half to Willian, who's popped up on the right side, having been playing on the left. Still with Fulham and Willian involved. Taking it across the penalty box, lifting it in, but behind.
Yeah, I think there's one thing that is for sure. I know Shearer's here. He wouldn't have paid for his ticket. It'd have been a freebie. You know what he's like.
You can't say things like that. Well, maybe you can. You know him.
Yeah, I think the lads that know what he's like.
There is an argument that a man of his eminence and stature shouldn't have to pay for the privilege of watching Newcastle.
Even worse.
There is a break in play. A few Newcastle boys are getting a water bottle on the side of the pitch. Kieran Trippier is getting treatment from the physio, Sean Beach.
Trying to think where the physio was looking at. Was it like, is it calf or tightening up or the cramp?
A few of the players, smaller groups, having conversations. Byrne and Cher and Dubravka. Longstaff now with Livramento. They are going to make the change. Trippier is leaving the field. Emil Kraft is going to come on as a late replacement in the 86th minute, with Newcastle leading 2-0.
I know there's 4 minutes plus added. For me, whilst there has been some solid performances, if I was to pick a man of the match, I would say by a country mile Dan Byrne. I think he's been absolutely superb defensively with the challenges, brilliant defensive headers, bombing forward, trying to get involved as well, going that way. Ultimately did by getting the second goal.
Emil Kraft on for a 7th Newcastle appearance of the season after recovering from a serious knee ligament injury. A straight change with Trippier off, and he's taken a place on the bench. Apart from anything else, you'd have to walk across the pitch into the corner on the near side where the tunnel is.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll be okay. Another match coming up in a couple of days away from home at Aston Villa. Another ridiculous kick-off time of 8:15 Villa Park midweek.
Mate, such long days, late nights. I mean, you've got to think about the Villa fans as well, you know, for that. You know, they've got to get back down to the Midlands.
Yeah, well, even if you are based in and around Birmingham, you're still going to get home late. So if you're trying to get back to Tyneside or the northeast in general, a match that's going to finish after 10 o'clock, what sort of time are you going to get home?
Villa, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but again, well, that's twice, you know, for the Newcastle fans. You know, just shocking timings for them.
88 minutes at Craven Cottage, 2-0 up. Longstaff in the first half, Byrne in the second. Fulham had done well before either goal, initially at 0-0, and then a good start to the second half. Newcastle goals coming against the run of play, really.
Yeah, they've kind of just petered out a little bit, Fulham, to be fair. Newcastle have kind of read the storm. They got that second goal. It was looking a bit precarious initially when it was still 1-0. Fulham were having the possession, were having the pressure.
Sven Botman lets the ball come to him, edge of the area. Cher could go down the line to Kraft. He's got away from the attacker, looking for Isak, who's slipped, but Lewis Miley's got it, stretching the Fulham defence with a ball to Livramento. Isak's back up. Tino Livramento coming in off the left wing, and now Bruno has a touch, doesn't take the shot on. Isak's behind the ball. He's now going to get into the box. Newcastle still with it on the attack. Botman and Bruno dragging it back. Kraft available square on the touchline. Inside to Bruno, back from Kraft, on for Gordon to Bruno around the corner. Nice football. Still have possession. Longstaff flicks it inside for Gordon with the outside of his right boot. A pass for Lewis Miley, who's away. Miley looking to free Isak up at the edge of the area, but Fulham had two defenders and they intercepted. Then Dan Burn got across his man and won the ball back.
Yeah, now the referee puts his hand up to sort of say play on.
Nothing risky. Botman back to Dubravka. Burn into Longstaff. On for Miley. They could go and get a third here, Newcastle, and finish it all off. Miley running it through, and Isak in the penalty area. Back to Livramento. Towards Isak again. He's dragged it back and turned away from defenders.
That's a foul.
Miley challenged. Fulham have lost it to Isak.
Hit it.
He's tried to just bulldoze his way through. Fulham managed to stop him, and they bring the ball up to halfway through. Raul Jimenez as the fourth official. Oliver Langford displays a numbers board that has 6 on it, a minimum of 6 additional minutes on BBC Radio Newcastle in the FA Cup, but Newcastle have a 2-0 lead. Interception from Miley from Willian's ball, but it's come back to Fulham. Then Fabian Schär's pinched it and is on the charge. He's passed it towards Bruno, and João Palhinha has intercepted. Schär gets back into defence as Robinson for Willian, edge of the box. Willian's just run into Bruno, tried to buy the free kick. Fulham have still got the ball, so the referee can play on. Jimenez now for Lukic towards the back post. Too high there for Muniz, and Robinson's pass straight to a green shirt, and they're going to go again. Newcastle on the counter with Gordon down the right wing. Only Isak up there. Bruno making a late run.
Oh, he's in.
Isak's left it for Bruno in the D.
Skill.
Bruno Guimaraes, it's blocked. It's come back to Longstaff.
You don't have to do that.
Try to find Livramento. Miley then has to make a challenge, and Jimenez keeps it in. And Miley has conceded a throw just past halfway. Frustration there that didn't lead to a third goal, because they had a couple of moments where they were well set.
The ball comes out to Sean Longstaff, and he just take a touch. He tries to play it first time and gives the ball away. Just keep possession. Game's done.
There from your man of the match, Steve, in the box. Dan Burn defending. Livramento, good feet in midfield. He's passed it out to the far side. Newcastle still with the ball in their half of the pitch. Bruno to Miley. Fulham look like they're tiring and almost resigned to their defeat here. 2-0 up in the third of 6 additional minutes. There might be another change coming. I think that's Matt Ritchie who could be coming on. Gordon, he's got a runner down the right wing. It's Kraft. The ball doesn't go. It's instead back to Bruno. Tackled by Lukic. And Kearney for Fulham next to the centre spot. Willian, space to attack on the far side, but Newcastle get 3 bodies around him, and Willian back into the centre of midfield to João Palhinha. Lukic 10 yards outside Newcastle's box. Kearney, they're stopping Fulham from getting a shot away, aren't they? Closing off the space. Only Isak ahead of the ball. Willian 15 yards out, poked into the box to Kearney, pushed back out wide to Robinson. Cross is lifted in there, and Dan Burn with another header, yet another header away. Miley with a challenge, edge of the area. Raul Jimenez shot on the turn, goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, good defending from Newcastle. You know, they're basically sort of saying to the Fulham players, 20, 25, 30 yards out, well, go on then, have a shot. Fulham players don't want to do that because they don't want to therefore get the wrath of their own fans, because it might be a poor shot. And in all fairness, even if it's a good shot, it's got to be a very good one to hit the back of the net from that distance. So they're kind of trying to go from side to side, side to side, without actually breaking Newcastle down. And Jimenez takes a shot on the turn, doesn't hit the target. After that, you could see lots of Fulham fans starting to leave now.
Just 2 minutes left, Steve, of additional time. Matt Ritchie is on for Anthony Gordon. Fulham 0, Newcastle 2. The 5th round of the FA Cup beckons. And it's going to be a midweek tie, assuming nothing extraordinary happens in the next couple of minutes. Midweek tie at the end of next month for Eddie Howe and his players. Cry of Geordies from the away end. Another Fulham attack. 90 seconds to go. They've won it back, Newcastle. Isak on the move, up ahead of Bruno. The pass is to Livramento. He's got a man on, needs to release it. He's played it straight to Tete. Isak so frustrated.
I think it'd have been offside anyway.
Tosin, the Fulham centre-forward, Fulham centre-back is playing as a centre-forward, cuts it back for Tom Kearney, who opened his body up and has guided it wide off the inside of the left boot from about 12 yards.
I always think it's a lot harder for that ball, for you to allow it to come across your body, because the timing has to be spot on. I always just think it's easier to hit it with your see, if the ball's come from the right-hand side and it's coming to you as it's crossed, I think it's easier to hit it with your right foot and then do the opposite from the other side, so you can get across it. You can basically get your body over it, get it down and hit across it and get it in the corners. So hard that one though, letting it run across your body.
If Fulham had scored there, they would have had, well, possibly about a minute to try and take the match to a replay, but Newcastle very pleased that with Matt Ritchie standing in front of Kearney in the goal, the ball went away and wide and behind. One last opportunity maybe to go and make it 3-0. Bruno pulled back, clear tug in central midfield. Not had many decisions to make, has he, in the second half, Jared Gillett?
Not really. To be fair, the players have just getting on with it. You know, there hasn't been any silly, reckless challenges. I think there was one looked at by Lewis Marley, but yeah.
It's all over. Newcastle United are into the 5th round of the FA Cup. A 2-0 victory at Fulham in West London, watched by around 4,000 noisy away supporters who saw Sean Longstaff score in the first half. A left-footed drive into the bottom corner of the goal from inside the box, and Dan Burns smashed one in on the rebound from close range after Sven Botman's downward header was pushed out by goalkeeper Marek Rodak. They have won an all-Premier League tie in the FA Cup for the first time in 12 years, Newcastle, and they are going somewhere where they've only been once in the last 18 years, and that's the 5th round of the FA Cup, Steve Howie, and the run continues.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, if I'm being brutally honest, I think both goals came when Fulham really have had a front in the game, you know, possibly against the run of play. Yeah, Fulham did have a bit more possession. They had a few more threats, but really they didn't have anything what you would call clear cut. Newcastle had the best chance in the first half, and that was Murphy. And then obviously they get the goal, and then again the second half, when again Fulham were on the front foot. So listen, you look at it and go 2-0, professional performance. I thought some of the players played really well, but I have to give special praise to Dan Burn. I thought he was absolutely magnificent, colossus.
The players and staff have gone to the away end, and brilliant scenes. They always try to enjoy it together after a victory, a win like this away from home. Twice in consecutive rounds of the FA Cup have they done that, and each time without conceding. Jacob Murphy back from injury tonight as well. Steve had a goal disallowed. That's important with Almiron missing through illness, and just for the fact that Newcastle still have so many important members of their squad unavailable, to get Murphy back.
Yeah, of course. I mean, he has a great chance. Unfortunately, doesn't make the goalkeeper work, so basically fires it at him. But delighted for the lad that he's back. You know, he's gone through a bit of hell really with the fact of surgery and missing football. I know what it's like to miss football, and it's lovely to be back. And for him to be back on the pitch, he would have enjoyed that. And hopefully it's the start of a good long run where he's fit and healthy.
Newcastle will earn £120,000 from the FA's prize fund for winning tonight, on top of the £105,000 they won for the victory at Sunderland.
and they are into tomorrow's draw for the 5th round. It's going to be made ahead of Liverpool against Norwich, which is a 2 o'clock kickoff, so sometime before that match. They'll be ball 16 in the draw, and they'll play in the 5th round in the midweek, the final week of next month. Steve Howie, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Goals from Sean Longstaff and Dan Burn sent Newcastle into the next round of the FA Cup with a 2-0 win at Fulham. And a header from Burn looking for Miley. Bruno involved, left-footed shot into the net. Into the net from Sean Longstaff in the penalty area. Longstaff hammered it across Roddick and inside the goalkeeper's left-hand post, low down. Fulham have had the better of it inside the opening 40 minutes, but Sean Longstaff has given them a lead. It's Fulham 0, Newcastle United 1. Right-footed outswinger from Trippier.
Yeah.
Sven Botman spilled and put into the back of the net. And big Dan Burn has scored against his former club. And Newcastle have extended their lead in the FA Cup. Brilliant celebrations right in front of the away end. Botman's header down, pushed out by Roddick, straight to the big man who has his 4th goal of the season. And in the 61st minute, it's Fulham 0, Newcastle United 2.
Total Sport North East.
On the station with Newcastle and Sunderland commentary exclusively live.
BBC Radio Newcastle.